Roach bowls, and he's caught behind. Trying to chop the ball away into the offside, and England have been bowled out for 258. And I must say, although the West Indies have had some disappointing moments, that for them, on the back of what happened at Edgbaston, is still a really good day. They bowl well, they've stuck at it, they've showed much more discipline with the ball.
So a much better day for West Indies yesterday. Can they take that on today? Welcome to Headingley for the second day of the second Investec Test match between England and West Indies. It's a pleasant enough morning. It's mild. It is overcast. The forecast I saw yesterday suggested it was going to be clear blue skies today, and West Indies will be hoping for that as they try to resist this England bowling attack that made them work hard last night. 12 overs, 19 runs. Can West Indies get up and past England's first innings score and try to put some pressure on England after what happened at Edgbaston last Saturday, in which they lost 19 wickets in the day? Vic Marks is here, Fazir Mohammed is here as well. Good morning to you, Fazir. Are you cautiously optimistic today that West Indies can produce something with their batting?
I'm wondering if I should emphasise the cautiously more than the optimistic. Good morning to you, good morning to all our listeners, wherever you may be. Yes, it's a good day. It could have been a better day had the chances been taken, but coming out of Edgbaston, I think we were all pleasantly surprised to see the fight that the West Indies put up, the impact of a Shannon Gabriel, lesser extent Devendra Bishoo, but he's already shown his worth as a ninth watchman. It's really important for the West Indies, if they are to be a factor in this test match, to have a really good second day. If they fall apart early, it could be back to the same old story, and then we'll be forgetting about what happened yesterday. So bits and pieces, step by step. So that's why it's really with a tremendous degree of caution that I would even dare to be optimistic.
I was coming out the ground last night and overheard one spectator saying to another, well, what's that going to be? 75-run first innings lead for England. What do you think, Victor?
You can't take too much for granted. I think that if I were in the England camp, although I wouldn't tell you this, I'd settle for West Indies all out 257, i.e. a one-run lead. Any lead is a good lead, because then you back yourself to bat better in the third innings and set a target that will be difficult. But I don't think you can, 250 is, you only need two men, as happened for England, just two men to play really well, and you get 250. So I don't think England should be that greedy, or their supporters should be that greedy. Any lead, given the way things went yesterday, is a good lead, is a good situation for England, I reckon.
Those people that looked at the pitch yesterday say, oh, this looks a good batting pitch, that's a very good batting pitch. Is it a good batting pitch?
Well,
is it a blameless belter?
I mean, it hasn't misbehaved hugely, but it was difficult to time the ball. People got bogged down. There was a little bit of movement. West Indies bowled extremely well. It looks, when you saw those footmarks, when you see a real belter, those footmarks are really pale brown. There was just a little darkness that suggested a little dampness. It's a perfectly good cricket pitch, not much pace, but just that little bit of movement, and hard really to dominate. I mean, Stokes dominated, but he really had to hit the ball hard. It wasn't, effortless stroke play. Even Root struggled to start with, and that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, everything is contextual. If the West Indies go out today and Kraigg Brathwaite occupies the crease for 4 hours, Roston Chase gets a decent innings, he's got 3 test centuries already, then we'll hardly be talking about the pitch. If they're shot out to next to no time, we might say, well, okay, it's been dancing about, the pitch would have helped. So it really depends on how the West Indies bat, how well England bowl. That's why I made the reference to tennis. When you talk about a break of serve, it's only an advantage if you hold serve in the next game. So it's really important how you perform the second time around to really put it in context.
Or golf. You get the birdie, and then if you're not careful, in my case, a double bogey is around the corner. But the real pros, they get the birdie and then they at least par the next one. They consolidate it. They don't count the birdie until they've consolidated it on the next day. How about that? Or next hole.
How many double bogeys did West Indies have last Saturday?
Well, they had a few last time, but I mean, it's great from a distant, remote, neutral. Here we've got a game on here. England are not dominating this match. We thought they would easily after Edgbaston. That's not been the case after the one day. Let's see what happens now. And it's great too for batsmen, no matter who they are, to bat with hope and purpose. Once you've got 500 up against you, it's always going to be a struggle, no matter who you are, no matter what the pitch is like. But when you've got something like 240, 250, there's something really to play for, and it helps drive you on.
Okay, so the Second day's play is around about 25 minutes away. Let's just remind ourselves what happened on that first day in our pint-sized Test match special.
Outside edge and taken the prized scalp of Alastair Cook.
Oh, that's very close. That looks out to me. He's given. Classic Westley dismissal.
Wide of the crease, ball's full, and Root drives him gloriously before. Roach ball's very full to Stoneman, who drives with appeal for a catch, and he's out. An inside edge.
That's poor, Simon.
In comes Gabriel, bowls, edged, and he's dropped it! Joe Root has been dropped. Oh dear.
Pulled him through the gates. Malan was looking to drive.
Bowls, one off stump, it's edged, oh, and they've dropped another one. Root has dropped, and now Stokes has dropped. He swings up hard, and there it is. Joe Root's 50, but he's getting a standing ovation now. His 12th successive Test matches that he's scored 50, and he equals A.B. de Villiers.
He's into Stokes around the wicket. He drives mercilessly. Bishoo's into Root again. And there's got the edge. He has got the edge.
There's Gabriel bowling. Oh, that's edge down to second slip court.
Comes Gabriel, bowls, and there's 4 more. Straight drive.
Roach moves in and bowls to Moeen, who... Is he caught? He is. He's caught a backward point.
Here comes Roach again. Stokes who advances, hits it straight in the air. Dropped to mid-on. Goodness me, that's an absolute sitter. Pushes his out into the offside. He could get 2 here. Next to covers running round. He has come back for his second. Ben Stokes brings up his 100.
Bowls and it's a brilliant catch. Stokes is out. Bowls now and bowled him all over the place.
Tremendous bowling.
In goes Roach, bowls, and he's caught behind. England have been bowled out for 258, who have got a really interesting 50 minutes ahead.
That's edged and caught by Cook at first slip.
The West Indies are 19 for 1. They're 239 runs in arrears.
We're in for a really fascinating test.
That's our pint-sized TMS, and you can watch it on the BBC website or the BBC Sport app. England doing some catching practice. Alastair Cook, well, I say sat out, he stood out the football match today. He's got this knee problem, but he has been doing some catching practice today. West Indies catching yesterday, Fazir. 4 catches dropped, and I mean some of them were inexplicable as well.
It's absolute sitters. Probably the one Kraigg Brathwaite at second slip that was sharp, but at this level of the game, you should be holding those. But this, Simon, is merely a continuation of what we've seen. For those who would have followed the England one-dayers, the one-dayers that they played in the West Indies in early March, vital catches were put down. Owen Morgan was missed early in the first ODI in Antigua, and from that point onwards, we saw catches being put down left, right and centre. The Pakistan series, even in the mini-series against Afghanistan while the Champions Trophy was going on, the West Indies have had a serious problem this year so far with their catching. The coach, Stuart Broad, and he's gotten on the media a bit for being ultra negative and not highlighting the positives. But even if you listen to what he's saying about the players having to get away from that CPL mentality of work rate, he is suggesting that they need to do a lot more work on many aspects of their game, and clearly what we saw yesterday emphasizes how much this team needs to really work on their concentration and their fundamental technique when they're fielding and catching.
Is catching, improving your catching, just about practicing, Victor? Or, I mean, some people are just better catchers than others, aren't they?
Well, no, I think it's the answer to that. I've just been watching England practice, quite a rigorous. Joe Root got one on the end of the finger, it was absolute agony. It was waltzed off. It'd be interesting to see whether he goes to second slip. It's not just about that, it's about confidence as well, concentration. The difference between a CPL match, 20 overs, you've got to be out there, and you're not going to have any slips, but you're expecting a catch just about every ball. You could be out in the field for a day and a half at first slip and not see a ball, then suddenly one comes and you've got to catch it, if you're a good test player. So, but it is also about confidence, and of course, the consequence of that brilliant catch, Ben Stokes diving in, suddenly the whole team is lifted and the game seems simple. So it is very important. You can practice and practice and practice, and that obviously helps. But you've got to have that sort of relaxed confidence in the field to cling on to them, especially in the slips. And when they stick, the whole team goes up with you. It's fantastic. But if they go down, I mean, in a way, the West Indies did pretty well yesterday, given that they had 2 easy chances by top standards. England's 2 best players, possibly. They let them off the hook and they still bowled them out for 250. So that wasn't a bad result. It could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, on the other hand, it could have been so much better. I think it cost them about 140 runs. I mentioned at the start of the programme the weather this morning. I said yesterday I saw a weather app which suggested we're going to have blue skies. At the moment it's overcast. It feels actually like quite a good bowling morning today. It's just warm enough. I feel it might swing. Let's check out what the weather has in store for us with Chris Fawkes. Good morning to you, Chris.
Good morning, Simon. Well, yes, as you mentioned, we've got quite a bit of cloud around over Headingley at the moment. There's a vanishingly small chance of a shower just early afternoon, but I think mainly they're going to actually form to the East Riding of Yorkshire, so near to the coast, should stay well away from Headingley. And as we go on through the rest of the afternoon, that cloud's going to break up and thin. We'll see increasing amounts of sunshine. That's going to boost the temperatures to 22 degrees later on this afternoon. So as the temperatures rise, the humidity levels will just ease back a little bit as we go on through the afternoon. But the wind's staying light, so no problems at all, I think, as far as conditions are concerned today. And we're going to keep that essentially fine and dry weather with light winds continuing on into tomorrow. A very similar forecast in many respects. Again, temperatures into the low 20s with early morning cloud breaking to give some afternoon sunny spells. So the weather's set fair for a decent game of cricket, Simon.
That's great news, Chris. Thanks very much indeed. What that does suggest, from what Chris was saying, is that it might be a good morning in which to bowl. The cloud cover for the morning and then gradually the sun taking over as the day goes on. So it could well be this morning session makes or breaks the Test match. Is that a fair assessment?
Well, we always say that nearly every day. but so the answer to that is yes, Simon.
Thank you very much, Victor. That was the answer I was looking for. Right, OK, well, one person we haven't mentioned yet, of course, was one of the real stars of the day yesterday, Ben Stokes, who made that thrilling 100. Yes, he did benefit from a couple of drop chances, notably early on, and one extraordinary drop by Gabriel when he was on 98. England won the toss yesterday on a sunny morning. It looked as if it was going to be perfect batting conditions, but it didn't actually quite turn out like that, as Stokes suggested afterwards.
Yeah, there always seemed to be a little bit in the wicket. The odd ball swang, and there was always sort of a little bit of seam movement there for the bowlers. We'll look back. 250 is probably not one of our better efforts with the bat, but it's 250 more runs than we had at the start of the day, and managed to get a wicket there at the end.
Was it typically Headingley conditions, would you say, or not?
Yeah, I think the lads assessed that pretty quickly. The guys who were out there with the feedback back to the change room was that a typical Headingley wicket, a bit of bounce, tennis ball bounce more than anything, and I think it was just a sort of wicket where sort of you had to assess how it was going out there. It was another sort of feeling that you sort of went through stages of feeling good, and then stages of not feeling so good. So as I say, we just have to see what comes around the corner tomorrow.
Especially tricky, as you say, because there were some lovely shots from you. You were striking the ball beautifully to the boundary, yet in the back of your mind always thinking next ball may be a bit different.
Yeah, I mean, I struggled to start with, just because I thought Holder especially, he didn't give me much to work with, so I just sort of had to try and mess around with coming at him and then going a bit deep in my crease to try and make him change something. And it took one boundary to then get away, and then I thought if I'm gonna play some attacking shots, then it's got to be with the full kitchen sink, as they say, just because it seemed to be one of those wickets.
And you tried to give that on 98 perhaps. Was there enough time for you to think to yourself, oh no, what have I done?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a brain fart, to be honest, but those things can trick in every now and again, but thankfully you managed to drop it.
A very important century as well, bearing in mind how tricky the other batsmen had found it in terms of the score. You'd be delighted with that contribution.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I would have liked to have gotten a bit more. I felt a little bit disappointed in myself of getting out when I did, exposing the lads there at the end, especially with the new ball just around the corner. It's probably just a mental side of just saying the job's not done yet, and I'll take that forward with me next time if I get to the 100 mark, of not just sort of letting up and making sure there's a bigger job still to get done.
Been a terrific summer for you. Just a quick word also for me about Joe Root. I mean, equaling a record of A.B. de Villiers for 12 successive Test matches, getting a half century. Phenomenal from Joe again.
It is. I mean, he's an amazing player, and he has been for a long time now. Captaincy hasn't done anything to his run scoring ability. His captain's brilliant, and he's always been a brilliant player for us. And I don't even know if he thinks about that, to be honest. But if he does, I guess it might be a little monkey off his back. But I don't think he's too fussed about stuff like that.
That's Ben Stokes talking to Kevin Howells about his century yesterday. Fazia, give us a West Indian assessment of Ben Stokes.
Well, there'll always be different perspectives, and of course the Marlon Samuels, Ben Stokes thing from Antigua a couple of years ago sticks in the mind. But you put aside all the confrontational, fire starter foolishness, and Ben Stokes is what you want from a cricketer: aggressive, positive, confident, gets on with the game, and I think that is good for world cricket, that you've got someone playing the game in that context. And yes, I think the aggro might add to the imagery of it, but he's a really fantastic cricketer.
What struck me yesterday is that throughout this summer he's actually played in a relatively restrained way as a batsman. He's kind of almost keen to show how he'd matured, but yesterday he was aggressive almost from the word go, because I think he saw that the initiative had gone and he wanted to take it back. So he, after a small period of reconnaissance, he actually went for the bowling in a way he hasn't actually done throughout the entire Test series against South Africa or in Edgbaston. So he really wanted to take the initiative. And it wasn't easy to bat out there, but he made the bowlers suddenly look a bit scrappy. They bowled really well. They lost a bit of discipline. You bowl against someone like that, he suddenly makes you bowl bad balls. But it was an immensely important innings, actually. Without that, England would have been all gone at 160 and really struggling. So very impressive, of course.
Well, he was one of the stars of the day. There were two other stars of the day yesterday, both West Indian, with Shannon Gabriel, extra pace, picking up 4 wickets, and Kemar Roach as well, who didn't bowl that badly at Edgbaston, picked up 4 for 71. And when he had to get his bowling boots on yesterday morning, looked up and the skies were clear. He looked down, the pitch looked straw-coloured. He might have been thinking, oh no, I have to bowl there against this England batting lineup. But he says he's always ready to go out and get his bowling boots on, whatever day it is.
Every morning I wake up, the first day of Test match, and tell myself I'm going to bowl. So my mind is already tuned on. And when they heard we're going to bowl, it's like, yeah, let's get the job done and go out there and put the best foot forward. I think the guys stuck at the task. It was a very tough task. Some catches went down and stuff, but we kept our heads high, and we kept coming.
Indeed, and you were looking for a response as a team, and you quickly must have felt pretty good going in at lunch, realising, we're back in this series.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, we had a very strong team meeting, a very open team meeting, so guys know what we're about down this tour, and it's all about going there, put your best foot forward, and working hard and performing for the West Indies.
When you put in a real long spell as well to start off with, but you got Shannon coming on, back in the team as well. You must take encouragement when you're seeing the man back in the team at the other end doing what he was doing.
Yeah, it's really good to see Shannon fin and rearing go. Obviously, he's been our best bowler for the last year, and I will say well bowled to him as well for his 4-4. So, but for me, I felt really good as well today, and I just want to keep continuing doing what I'm doing, working hard and getting more wickets for the West Indies.
How tricky do you think it was for the batsmen? How much assistance did you think you were getting out there today?
I wasn't getting much, but obviously it's about putting the balls in the right areas. We have team innings, as I said. We know where we need to bowl these English batsmen, and I think today we executed that pretty well. Some catches went down, but that's cricket, and keep our heads high and we come back tomorrow. I
mean, you especially would be cursing some of those drop catches. They do happen. So will that be quickly forgotten now or not?
Yeah, it's quickly forgotten now. Obviously, the innings is off. We would like to get Stokes early. They didn't want to get 100, but he batted really well, and so kudos to him. But I think we know what we did wrong, and as I said, there'll be more team meetings and there'll be more open discussions, and we'll get the right thing there.
But a satisfying day, and especially some tricky overs at the end for your batsmen to have to try and cope with. Just the 1 wicket down. I mean, these conditions, it could have been more, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could have been more. Obviously, batting on the lights is never easy. But I said, well played to Kraigg and the night watchman Bishoo. And I think that once these guys just stick out there and put up a fight against this English, and then we can get a lead and try to win this Test match.
And you'll be saying to yourself tonight, we're back.
Yeah, we're feeling good about ourselves, and we're back. Yeah.
There we go, Kemar Roach, 4 for 71 yesterday, part of that West Indies fight back in the series. And can they get past England today, as Kemar Roach suggests there? Well, they've got some work to do against England's pace bowling attack, Anderson and Broad, and also Chris Woakes back in the side. Good to see Chris Woakes back fit again. He bowled 1 over last night. He made 23 with the bat. He was the last man out, trying to force it really with Jimmy Anderson at the other end. And Chris Woakes this morning has been speaking to Kevin Howells.
OK, Chris. Well, 258. It didn't really feel like the sort of day we expected it to be yesterday. What's been the feeling in the dressing room?
Yeah, I mean, obviously winning the toss, batting first, you want to post a big score. We thought, looking at the wicket yesterday morning with the sun out, it looked like a good pitch, but it actually moved around a little bit. The West Indies boys bowled pretty well. Pitched the ball up and it moved a bit, and had they taken their catches, it could have been a bit worse for us. But we've got to a decent score. Obviously, we'd like a few more. Obviously, we've got to bowl well today, and I suppose we can only see how good that score is once we've bowled them all out, I suppose.
Is there any sense of what par would be on this pitch?
No, not really. I think a lot will depend on the conditions. I mean, when it clouds over here at Headingley, it generally does a little bit more. And as I said, the pitch looks pretty good, but it has offered a little bit occasionally, and you put the ball in the right areas. So for us, we've just got to make sure that we continue to do that, ask questions as much as we can today, and hopefully take our catches and put the West Indies batsmen under pressure.
We always felt that the West Indies would come back fighting after that performance at Edgbaston, but yes, they really showed a lot of spirit from their side.
Yeah, it did. I mean, international cricket, you expect that. I know a lot has been said about how they played at Edgbaston. I'm sure they'd have liked to have put in a bit more of a fight, but they certainly showed that yesterday. International cricket's never easy, regardless of who you're against, and they came back and bowled really well, which was credit to them. Hopefully we can do the same today, put their batsmen under pressure, and hopefully get them from below what we got.
For you personally, being back in an England shirt in Test cricket, it's been a long wait after that injury at the start of the Champions Trophy, but you must be thrilled to be back out there.
Yeah, it's always nice to be back out there on the field. It's been a long layoff, one that it's unexpected, especially in a busy summer when there's a lot of cricket. You don't want to be missing any of that. So that's a frustrating time for myself, but really pleased to be back out there. Playing for England is never taken for granted, and to walk out there yesterday with the lads, it was a real nice feeling to be back out there.
Placed Toby Roland-Jones in this side. Obviously people are jostling for the position in this series, but the spectre of the Ashes on the horizon means there's that extra carrot dangled in front of this team, and inevitably people are going to be thinking about that and thinking about trying to ensure that they're on that plane and they're going to be in that starting 11 in Brisbane.
Yeah, of course the Ashes is in the back of our mind. Obviously we're fully focused on this series, but I think that's a good place for the team to be. Everyone wants to perform and put in some really strong performances to make sure that they're on that plane to Australia. I'm no different, having had a little bit of a layoff. It's nice to get some form under my belt and hopefully get myself on that plane. And the fact that everyone's in that mindset is quite a good thing, because everyone wants to do well, and it'll mean that we're in a good place in this series.
Approaching today, what's the tactic? Just try and sort of replicate the bowling of Shannon Gabriel yesterday. It seemed to have the most effect.
Yeah, I think so. So him and Kemar Roach obviously picked up the wickets yesterday. I think Kemar bowled a good full length. I think we'll be looking to try and do the same, get the ball moving around. Generally, if you bowl a little bit fuller at Headingley, you can get your rewards. So, yeah, just try and put the West Indies batsmen under as much pressure as possible. We've got to be patient, not expect it to just happen, and try and group the ball in the right areas, and hopefully the catches will come. Hopefully, we'll take them, and put them under pressure.
Well, mentioning the catches, it seemed an odd day yesterday. We saw a lot being put down. What do you put that down to? Is that just one of those days from West Indies' point of view? Is it a difficult place to field Headingley?
I suppose it is a little bit different. There's a little bit of a slope here, isn't there? So that takes a little bit of getting used to. I think when it's one of those days, sometimes, when the first one goes down, it puts you under pressure as a fielding team, and then sometimes it can happen like it did yesterday. If they'd have taken their chances, potentially, we could be in a lot worse position than we are. So, to get past 250, I think we were pleased with that in the end. Of course, we'd have liked to have gone on and got 400. Obviously, we always would like to, but those catches could have, caused havoc. So it's important that if we get those half chances today, we take them, because they could be crucial.
Thank you, Chris. Go well.
Cheers, Henry.
That's Chris Woakes with Henry Moran, who will be doing updates on Five Live today, along with James Taylor. Michael Vaughan's down on the boundary rope with me as well. Chris Woakes, James, quietly a vital player for England.
Yeah, he's a really important player for England. He balances the squad, the side beautifully, bats, bowls. It's one of the best number 9s in world cricket with the bat, and so vitally important with the ball. He swings it away beautifully at good pace. So I think he complements Broad and Anderson really nicely. So a vitally important person in this England side at the moment.
You talk about Woakes balancing the side. What about that top order? It needs a bit of balancing out. Michael and James, we got, I don't know how long, we got 5 minutes or so to talk about it before play starts today. What are your thoughts on this second day after what you've seen today and all summer?
Well, there'd have been a few restless sleeps last night. you've got to look at Stoneman. He's only played 2 innings, so you've got to give him a bit of time. I thought he looked okay yesterday. Just threw his hand at a ball that, you know at Headingley on the first morning, you've just got to be a little bit smarter. You've just got to let the ball come to you and just push it for 1s and 2s. He played a nice drive for a couple just the previous over, and I thought, yeah, he's learned. He's playing it late and not really looking for the boundary. Then he threw his hands at the ball, and that one error, he's on the way back to the pavilion. Malan's the same, big drive, maybe a little bit overconfident from his 65 at Edgbaston. I felt England played yesterday like a team that was very, very confident, and almost they didn't disrespect the West Indies, because the West Indies bowled so much better than they did at Edgbaston. You could see that England were trying to attack probably more so than they have done in the previous 3 Test matches. If you think the way that they batted against South Africa at the Oval, against South Africa at Old Trafford, even at Edgbaston with that pink ball, they were a little bit more controlled in the way that they played the game. And yesterday were quite aggressive, and it could have been a lot worse. 258 could easily have been 170 that had held the chances. Westley at number 3 is my big concern. I just look at that technique now. I've been seeing him for a few games. As soon as the bowler's bowled into channel, bowl 5 or 6 deliveries out there outside the off stump, his head seems to go towards the ball. He falls over to that offside, and then that front foot position is so unbalanced. You see the shot when he gets out. His left foot is on its tiptoes. There's no balance on that front foot. It's purely to do with his head going over that you can't get in a balanced position, and that is a real concern, because teams now have seen it, throw it out to channel and then get one back, nipping into the stumps, and you feel that he's going to be playing across the line of the ball. So he's got a big weight for that second innings. I feel that probably both he and Malan will need to score in the second innings to guarantee their place at Lords.
Do either of you have your top 5 for Australia? Do you have a clear idea of who you think will be in England's top 5 or should be in England's top 5 in Australia? Michael, you first.
Well, it's hard. I mean, Stoneman I'm going with because he's the man in possession, and I just don't think 3 Test matches are enough. So I see that Stoneman will open the batting. Balance will be fancy because his relationship with Joe Root came into the side earlier in the summer. He got that broken finger, but I just think that someone like Alex Hales might have to come in at number 5. Number 3, you're picking out of a hat of maybe Haseeb, maybe Keaton Jennings, maybe Malan if he gets runs here in the second innings and gets his place for Lords. But I think someone like Alex Hales, because of his experience in international cricket, not in Test cricket, England can't arrive in Australia with just someone fresh out the box. That's a no-go.
James?
Yeah, I totally agree with Michael. I think that's what Alex Hales has got in his favour, because he's an experienced international cricketer. Yes, it's T20s and one-day cricket that he's played a lot more in than Test cricket. He's used to facing Australia. Yes, it's with the red ball, but put him at 5 and he's in unbelievable form at the minute. I think he's got a real chance, and the other question is, do you want to push Root up to 3? I know he doesn't want to, but that's the option. I think the worrying thing for England is they don't know what their best top 5 is. And going into the Ashes, that's not an ideal situation.
OK, James and Michael, thanks very much indeed. Plenty more from them throughout the day. James on 5 Live today, and Michael with us in the Test Match Special commentary box. Well, the players are out a bit early, actually. The clock says 2 or 3 minutes to 11, but they're very keen. The umpires are there, and the batsmen are there as well. And we might start a bit early today. We'll make up some of the time we lost yesterday. 5 overs down yesterday. Right, so nearly ready to go. Graham Swan is in the commentary box alongside Jonathan Agnew.
Indeed, thank you, Simon, very much indeed. A conversation, I suspect, that will be going on and on and on over the coming weeks and even months. Who will England take to Australia out of those top 5 positions? There certainly seem to be 3, don't there? Anyway, that's all, well, possibly for later on today. Who knows? But for now, it's all about England with the ball and what they can do to the West Indies this morning, and whether the West Indies can continue. Can they put 2 really good days together? There were blemishes yesterday with those drop catches, of course, but they would certainly have settled for this position when Jason Holder lost the toss yesterday morning and Joe Root chose to bat. So all to play for today. James Anderton's going to bowl from the far end to us. That's the football stand. He's going to bowl to the night watch from Bishoo, who did a pretty good job yesterday, actually. He looked very, very secure in rather nasty conditions. The floodlights on, the light wasn't very good. And now he's got the chance to get some runs. There's 4 slips there as Anderton bowls the first ball of the day and Bishoo fields for it outside the off stump. And past the outside edge it goes. So applause from spectators who are coming in. To our right there, the blue seats of the West Terrace being rapidly occupied. There's still plenty of space, but I don't think really many tickets for sale today. As I mentioned yesterday, there are just a few with limited views. And I'm not sure what that means here at Headingley. At Lords, I can tell exactly what it means. But here, I'm not sure where they're going to put you. In comes Anderson. Bowls, and Bishoo pushes that away out towards point, and there's no run. So we should have a full house, more or less, and hopefully a really good atmosphere, especially if England can get amongst the wickets. Graham Swan's alongside me.
Morning, Angus.
What they really want, they want to get this night watchman out of the way. It's always the thing, is it? It's just as little energy as possible.
That's right.
Let's get rid of him.
But the great thing is, and I always see this from the night watchman's point of view, because I've been in his situation before.
Yep.
He has dreamt of a century.
Yep.
I promise you, he's walked to the ground. He'll have had throwdowns. He'll have had a net. No one would have wanted to bowl it, but he'd have insisted, "I'm the man in."
Yep.
He'll want 100.
19 for 1 the score as Anderson moves in. Bowls to him. Oh, he's beaten again. Second time on the over, and that actually was a little closer.
It's a good ball.
It was a good ball. It so nearly found the edge, and all those slips lined up. Not as many as yesterday. I think they're virtually all of the slips at one point last night.
But he did look really secure last night, didn't he? It was very impressive work. It's so often the case. The guy, when he's just got a certain amount of time to hold on, he can see the light at the end of the tunnel, he digs in, and he'll truly believe his own hype. He'll walk off thinking, that wasn't so hard.
No.
Why can't I get 100?
There's also the problem that you can start to think you're a proper batsman.
Yes.
On a fresh morning. Anderson bowls, and that comes the other way back this time. That'll wake him up a bit. He's had the one that goes away, and now that one that comes back in. So he's seen Anderson's repertoire, but didn't really cope with it very well. Stuart Broad's loosening up at mid-on, looking up at the big screen over there to our right-hand side. Still some cloud around. It's not threatening, and the forecast is good. There's blue sky too, but just again that rather humid
Muggy,
feel. Yeah, absolutely. Anderson bowls. Bishoo lets that go by outside the off stump. No, definitely a bit clammy.
Yes.
Walked up the ginnel along the side here from the car park today. I would have said I got a sweat
Call
on
it
that.
a ginnel? Is it a learned word for you, or do you call it a ginnel?
Oh, it's a ginnel, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
I think it's a ginnel.
I remember Jimmy Anderson. There's a ginnel round back of my house. I had no idea what he was on about.
I think that's definitely a ginnel.
Oh, it is a ginnel, yeah, but I'd never heard the term until Jimmy.
Oh, Jeff Boycott, I think, always tells you how to play ginnel cricket. A lot of people, in that generation, played ginnel cricket. Anderson bowls. Bishoo lets that go by outside the off stump, and it's the end of the first over of the morning. It's a maiden, and the crowd liked it. They're in very good spirits as some fancy dressers arrive down there at the far end of the West Stand. That's sort of the crazy area, really.
Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got all
Fancy
sorts
dress
there.
day.
Some Mexicans arriving. There's always, I think,
sombreros.
There's always sombreros and Mexicans.
I wonder what the link to cricket and Mexicans is. It's just, I suppose, the easiest fancy dress, isn't it? Just chuck a rug over your shoulders and pop a wide-brimmed hat on.
Well, you've come back from a holiday to Spain with your sombrero and your poncho, haven't you, and your little straw donkey.
Is it a fedora or fedora? How do you pronounce it? Fedora.
Isn't it? Was it a fedora?
I don't know. That was my question.
I think Federer's a tennis player.
I've seen some, I've seen some mad scientists in the coffee shop out the back of Headingley this morning, about 6 or 7 of those, and then
it's a very good question about Federer or fedora, actually. I think I'm going fedora, yes. I think, yeah. Although Roger likes his cricket, doesn't he, apparently?
He loves his cricket.
Yeah.
We were on tour in Australia once. Invited us all into the players' lounge,
Did
about
he?
6 or 7 of us, and chatted away. Knew cricket like the back of his hand. His mum's South African.
Yeah, exactly.
His favourite player was Jack Callis.
Well, I'll have to try and get him on here sometime. I think he's busy at the moment. Now, Broad is going to bowl to Brathwaite, who's on 13. He runs in, bowls to him, and he takes his bottom hand off the bat handle. There's a bit of extra bounce for Broad. No one at short leg, and Moeen fields at square leg, who had a very nice taxi driver this morning who picked us up and brought us here, who was out at an event with Moeen last night, a charity do. So
mid-test match.
Very nice journey it was. Yeah, I think it was a fairly quietish event. But
finished at 6.
Yeah, he said that he was delighted to have met Moeen. So I hope he's driving safely this morning. He promised to tune in, so there we go. 19 for 1. As Broad shadows there to his feet, sets off past the umpire, bowls to Brathwaite outside the off stump. Well, that's quite an adventurous stroke, forcing a shot with 1 foot off the ground. Out there to wide, but off. A true Caribbean touch to that one. Stuart Broad busies himself with his footholds. He didn't look very happy last night against it, and there was a lot of shaking of heads going on and so on. And
he's gesticulating. He's gesticulating as if sort of the ground goes down and up too much. It is tricky at Headingley. It's nowhere near as bad as it was when I first played here before the drainage was done. It used to be like running down, tumbling down a hill from this media centre.
It was a proper hill.
And then the wicket almost went up the opposite direction, didn't it?
Broad runs in, bowls, and Brathwaite gets one just short of a length. He's behind that, playing back to the bowler. 19 for 1.
And then and as the ground ran off towards the rugby ground, as a guy ran into bowl from the rugby ground, you could barely see him because he was so far down the hill. He'd be puffing and panting up the hill to get there.
And the short boundary, I mean, there's no point in having a third man really down that end because the boundary was so short and the hill. 19 for 1. This is the 14th over of West Indies innings. They're 239 runs behind. And Broad under a cloudy sky. Bowls, that's an edge. It doesn't carry to the slips and goes through Root's legs there, I think, and down into the boundary for 4 runs. So the first runs of the morning, rather streaky ones.
I'm just watching as well. He's not offered a hand of apology here to the bowler. I know for a fact that this winds up Stuart Broad and Jimmy Anderson more than anything in the world. So it's bounced just in front of him, and he's not, let's say, he's not made the bravest attempt at stopping the ball.
It's a nasty. It's not quite a half volley. It's a nasty length.
Quite,
that,
but he could have got something behind it or made more of an effort.
It actually kept very low.
It did, but he immediately looked away from Stuart Broad and didn't offer a hand of apology.
This is interesting. The ball has got wet, and Alastair Cook's drying it on a towel. I don't know why it's got wet, because we haven't had any rain here, but that's had to be dried, and now Broad is rubbing it hard on his trousers. So maybe it went into a gutter or something down there. 23 for 1, 235 behind. Brathwaite, right-handed, waits for Broad, who's there now, bowls short, and Brathwaite ducks underneath this. And it's collected by Jonny Bairstow. The first bouncer of the day, met with applause out there. We've got somebody arriving in some sort of yellow suit down there at the far end again. It looks like an astronaut of some sort. Or a hoodie. Maybe he's a boxer, actually. Maybe he's a boxer.
It might be a boxer, yeah. Of course, the big fight's on tonight, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mayweather McGregor. Who's your money on, Aggers?
I wouldn't like to suggest that I'm an expert on this at all.
Well, Street Fighter versus Purist. Yeah, that's what we've got.
One of them's not a proper boxer, isn't he?
No. I think they're in on it together, laughing all the way to the bank, these lads.
In goes Broad. 4 slips waiting, he bowls, and Brathwaite's hit on the pad. Appeal for leg before wicket. Not from Broad, though. That was more a shout from behind the stumps. And the umpire simply calls over. So 23 for 1, a couple of moral victories in there for Broad. But the first runs of the day, albeit off the edge, down to third man. So yes, I think our friend down there, he's got the sort of the hood and the gown on of a heavyweight who arrives. Yeah. There's commentary. There you are. You could listen to it, Swanee. 4 o'clock in the morning. It's on 5 Live. Fancy that?
Oh. Just be getting in.
Yes, yeah, exactly. You might as well just switch the radio straight on when you come in. Now we've got 4 slips again, and Anderson's going to have another go at the night watchman. Bishoo. Anderson moves in, bowls him. It's outside the off stump, and he plays no stroke. 23 for 1. As you see how Moeen goes today, we were talking about him earlier, but he's had such a tremendous summer. He's taken, I think, 28 wickets, isn't it?
Bowled nicely, yeah.
In Test cricket, so he's. But there were some balls that spun yesterday off the pitch.
Yeah, well, that's the old-fashioned Headingley. It didn't suit the spinners. You heard Jeffrey speaking yesterday saying, no, you don't get much jive in a spinner here. You do these days.
Yeah,
you really do.
Anderson bowls. Oh, that's a beauty. And beats Bishoo, who's left-handed. All ends up. Morning, Andrew.
Morning, Jonathan. 28 wickets at 16.42 for the summer for Moeen.
Not a bad summer, that.
No.
I'll tell you what he's got very good at. He's got very good at stealing the ball off Jimmy Anderson near the end of the innings, mopping up, which is so important as a spinner. Because if you get 5 as a spinner, you want 2 at the top order, ideally, before, once the team's 6 down, then you get a good relationship with your captain, you rip the ball off him as soon as they're 6 down.
Hoover
up getting 5
end.
now, yeah.
Anderson bowls, and Bishoo's behind this, playing nicely, actually, down to mid-on. Alan in Stratford-upon-Avon, good morning, sir. Says in Warwickshire, a Ginnell is a jitty.
Yeah, that's. I grew up thinking it was a jitty, an alleyway or a jitty.
Yeah. Well, in Coronation Street, they're definitely Ginnells.
Yes. I love you, all right. That's what my mum speaks like.
Does she? Yeah. I thought she was a Geordie.
No, Dad's a Geordie.
Oh.
My mum's from Warrington. I love. The cricket I heard you on the radio with Aggers. Is he nice? Sounds nice.
What accent's that then? In comes Anderson, bowls, and it's pushed away by Bishoo out towards cover. I have to apologise to all the Lancastrians listening.
Warrington.
Right.
Actually, you're right. These days it's Cheshire, but in those days it was Lancashire. She's a fierce Lancastrian, my mother.
Right.
I was very proud when my brother played for Lancashire. Dismayed when I chose Notts over Lancs.
That was my county too, because I was born in that part of the world, and as a kid it was always Lancashire for me.
And then you met the Beaver.
Well, no, I went to Surrey first. 23 for 1. Then comes Anderson, bowls, and Bishoo plays down to mid-off. Still looking for his first run today, but he's not going to find it there. Woakes is fielding 23 for 1. But funny enough, I made my debut against Lancashire, so all my heroes. There they were suddenly playing against them.
Field at the same time.
Yeah, Clive Lloyd, Bumble. Wasn't so pleased to see Colin Croft out there, if I'm honest. Straight from school, go out and face that. Oh, happily, I didn't have to, because it was the it was the 100 overs compulsory declaration era. And thank goodness I didn't have to face him. I'd never seen anything like it in my life.
Yeah.
Had sort of schoolboy pads, little spiky gloves. Anderson bowls, and that's pushed away down to point by Bishoo. And there was Chris Boulderson and so on with all this padding that was coming out. I thought, and you can bat. I mean, look at this bloke.
The spiky glove. Did you actually have those?
Yeah.
Like on the Bodyline show on TV?
I had plastic-soled bowling boots, and Ray Lingworth as captain said, "You can't wear them." I said, "What's all I've got?" So I got literally, virtually, I was about 3 weeks after leaving school. I go out and facing that lot, and anyway, it was quite an education. But it was a really strange experience, having been an absolute dyed-in-the-wool Lancashire supporter, suddenly to be the first match playing against them. It was remarkable, incredible. 23 for 1. Brathwaite's on 17.
The Cookie Monster's arrived.
Oh, is he? In goes Broad, bowls. Brathwaite's on 17, and they flick that fine, and he'll get 4 runs. A second boundary off Stuart Broad, and that, yes, off the bat as well. It might just flicked a bit of pad as well. 27 for 1. So West Indies 2:31 behind. They've started well this morning. They'll get themselves in. They've got the night watchman who, as we've explained, is it's a frustrating position, and that's part of his job. Oh, John, our engineer, says there are snickets. Well, yes, I know snickets as well as Jitties and Ginnells, and in Nottingham, a Ginnell is a twitchell. Well, I've heard of snickets before, haven't you?
Yep, snickets and Ginnells and twitchells, whatever it is.
I hadn't heard of twitchell. That feels like a Ginnell down there. It's overhung with trees as well. It's a bit and a bit muddy. 27 for 1. In goes Broad bowls, and that's pushed away by the right-handed Brathwaite up to mid-off. But it does save trying to get into the ground at the far edge. There's quite a little handy cut through, actually.
Yeah. It's quite a bohemian Ginnell as well. There's a bit of graffiti on the way down.
There is some graffiti.
It's not swearing graffiti. It's quite artistic.
Yeah.
It's a bit like Melbourne.
Yes.
What have we got here? We've got the Liverpool team from the 70s or the 80s by the looks of it.
Yes.
John Aldridge's or Terry McDermott's. Baywatch are in.
Well, every time they arrive, there's a great cheer breaks out from fellow fancy dressers. In goes Broad, bowls. Brathwaite gets the balls very full. Nice length that from Broad, I like that. And trying to get him forward, drag him out. He doesn't really want to go there, but play that up to mid-off.
I'm surprised being in Yorkshire, we haven't got a whole group of Jeffrey Boycotts turn up. I mean, you often get a group of Richie Benos in Australia,
You
like
do?
20 Richie Benos will turn up. Surely with the hat and the signature and the cushion and
Yeah.
lack of
I'm trying to think what
attacking stroke play.
What you'd have that really sort of would distinguish you as a Jeffrey Boycott character. But anyway, 27 for 1. Just smoke rising among those trees in the distance as Broad comes up, bowls. That finds the edge. Oh, he's not going to like this at all. It's going down to third man. He's got his hands on his hips. The ball pursued, and I'm afraid it's into the boundary again. And Broad will be having a chunter here because he's had 4 go through the fielder's legs at slip, albeit off the edge, and then 4 off a little inside flick down through fine leg, and now another one off a thick edge as well. So he'll be chuntering. Leslie Evans. Oh, regarding Mexico and cricket. Okay, I lived in Mexico, says Leslie. I thought it was a Mr. Leslie or a Mrs. Leslie or a Ms. Leslie. For 3 years between 1979 and 1982, and I'm sure I remember hearing about Fred Truman visiting the MCCC, Mexico City Cricket Club. Truman taking his 300th wicket was one of my first cricket memories. And during my time in Mexico, I managed to attend an England Test match in Jamaica. Well, that sounds good.
I didn't know Jamaica was in Mexico.
No. Well, I suppose it's quite a short flight.
Closer.
Yeah. Fred going to Mexico. I don't know. 31 for 1. Off goes Broad, bowls. That's clipped away out to mid-wicket. Well stopped by Moeen. Diving full length. And saving certainly one run there. So,
there is quite a bit of
for one.
Sort of South American cricket. I
Yeah.
know that. My friend Toby Bailey, who I grew up with playing at Northamptonshire, who's now at Scotland as one of the coaches. He was head of cricket in Argentina for a while.
Well, do you know, I've been there twice now to Buenos Aires, and I've not yet been able to get into the cricket area, which I'd love to do, go and see, because they play a reasonable standard there. In BA, as it's called in trendy circles, 31 for 1. In goes Broad, bowls. Brathwaite smothers that by getting forward again, and playing down into gully. 31 for 1, so 227 behind. But in the good old days of the Derek Robbins tours, probably before your time, this philanthropist stroke cricket enthusiast would take a group off of usually young cricketers, actually, and often managed by somebody like Henry Blofeld. And they would
Henry's
go off,
tours.
to these amazing parts of the world. I remember I was just a bit too young. I was disappointed because we out of Leicestershire, we had Les Taylor went, Nigel Bryars went, and they did a full South American tour, for instance.
Yes.
They went to Argentina and to Chile and all around there and played, Brazil. They were fantastic tours. I'm not sure what the quality of the cricket absolutely was, but I never met Derek Robbins. But I met his daughter recently, actually, of all things. But anyway, they must have been fantastic tours. And I suspect with Henry as the sort of manager, stroke social manager, I suspect they were good fun. Here's Anderson, beating Bishoo again outside the off stump. When did they stop those tours, Andrew? Because they were not, were they? They probably weren't annual during the 70s and 80s, but they were quite regular.
70s and 80s, yeah. It would have been. Argentina played first-class cricket games that are recognised as first-class between 1912 and 1938. MCC tours.
Right.
A few other private tours. Sir Julian Kahn's 11. So T.E.W. Brinkman's 11.
Right.
But
so they were first class, were they? Here's Anderson, bowls. Oh dear, he's gone past him again. And that very close to the off stump. But Anderson has veered there to his right, I think, to make sure that Bales was still on, because that was very close. But were the Robbins matches first class then?
Not in South America, no.
Right,
By that stage, by the 70s, they obviously weren't recognised as first class.
Right.
Argentina wouldn't have been, yeah.
Well, I know the MCC still tour all over the world. I'm sure they'll still go to South America.
Yeah. But Derek Robbins, look at where they used to go. They used to go to some amazing places, sort of the Far East, but with promising young cricketers and one or two old pros. You know, the proper cricket. Here's Anderson. Oh dear, he's beaten him again. Driving this time with a ball that nipped away off the seam. He's got the ball on a piece of string, and it's all beyond Bishoo. I'm afraid the night watchman was having a prod. But it's terrific. Now, Adrian from Warrington says Treadtroom was a guest player for a British Airways touring team in Mexico in the late 1970s.
He played for everyone, Fred.
Oh, yeah.
Dad's Army had a game in there as well.
He did. That was a tremendous bit of role play, that was.
2 balls he lasted, didn't he?
Well, yeah, I think did
his shoulder in.
I think he had to bowl at Captain Mannering, didn't he? In comes Anderson, bowls outside the off stump, and he's caught behind. And it was only a matter of time. A swish outside the off stump. And it was one too many for Bishoo. So there's the first wicket of the day. England will be pleased. They haven't wasted too much energy on getting rid of the night watchman, who just carved a catch there to Jonny Bairstow. And so West Indies lose that first wicket. Bishoo's out for 1. He didn't add this morning. And that's a start that England wanted. 31 for 2.
Well, Jimmy Anderson beat him outside the off stump 15, 16 times, it seems, this morning with the swinger away. This was supposed to be the full swinging ball coming back into him. Turned out to be a bit of a short, wide one, and Bishoo went for the square cut and nicked off. It's often the way with tail-enders. Don't waste your good balls on them, bowl them a pie.
Absolutely.
Lasted 33 balls for that single, Bishoo.
Well, he did his job. He did his job last night, when really the conditions weren't very nice. So I'm afraid his dreams of a maiden Test century have vanished now, and he's back in the dressing rooms pulling his pads off. But he's done his bit. So Jimmy Anderson will be pleased with that. We've got the new batsman on his way out now. And so let's just check on that last Derek Robbins then, Andrew, before I go, because I suspect that South American one might have been one of the last ones, actually. But there was Les Taylor and Nigel Bryars, and so Henry was in charge of social affairs.
I don't think this. Well, I'm looking at Cricket Archive. I'm not sure this is a comprehensive list here. I don't think it's South America on here, but there's a Far East tour on here. There's Canada Tour in 1976.
Oh, I wouldn't mind
Great
going
places
there.
to go. They're just, sort of pioneering tours. And he must have been a great character, Dowrich Robinson. I never met him, but just a wealthy fellow, loved cricket and loved exploring the world too, by the sounds of it. 31 for 2. With 2 balls to go in the over, and Kyle Hope's the new batsman. Anderson's on his way, bowls outside the off stump, and Hope allows that to go by. The sun's out. That rather dark cloud has just sort of blown away. There's hardly any breeze, but it's just very slowly wafted across the sky. We've got blue up there now.
I think poor Bishoo's got in the change room. Do you think the first thing he said is took his kit off? I should have gone out last night after all.
Well,
the bog standing county pattern.
He's probably tucked away at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Here's
Guaranteed early dismissal in the morning, wasn't it?
Last ball of the over. Anderson bowls, Hope drives down to mid-off and finds Stuart Broad. So success for Jimmy Anderson, 31 for 2. And West Indies are 227 behind. Brathwaite 25 and Kyle Hope yet to score. So thoughts from Graham Swan, and then it'll be Simon Mann.
Yeah, Bishoo, that was a walking wicket this morning for Jimmy Anderson. I saw Jimmy actually just after Bishoo nicked it turn and sort of point to mid-off and have a giggle. And I'm sure mid-off would have said, stop wasting your good balls on him, bowl him a wide one, because that's normally how you get the tail enders. Well, your good ones are just too good for them. They play and miss. Bowl them a filthy pie and they tend to get out to it. Good morning, Simon Mann.
Good morning, Graham. Lovely to see you. 31 for 2 on this very pleasant Saturday morning.
Just brought the sunshine with you as well,
Simon. Absolutely. Here's Broad. He's going to bowl to Brathwaite. He's there on 25. 4 slips are in. Broad going in from the Kirkstall Lane end. Bowls on off stump. And Brathwaite comes forward and plays out firmly in defence back to the bowler. And Broad picks up and there's no run. And that was the forecast for the clouds to thin out as the day goes on. England, I think, just hoping for another hour or so, but it looks as if they're breaking up already.
Well, Headingley more than anywhere, it's one of those places that you score your runs while the sun shines, don't you? One says it's great for batting with the sun out. Swings round corners when the clouds come in.
Do you remember those old pitches we had here? The up and downers?
Terrible.
Here's Broad to Brathwaite. And Brathwaite edges short of Cook at first slip. It was short of him on the bounce. Cook stopped it. And Broad stands in the middle of the pitch and looks at Brathwaite, and Brathwaite not interested. He just walks off towards square leg with his back to him. I don't know if he said anything, it's hard to tell from up here. But it did not carry. It was a straightforward edge that did not carry.
Fell quite a way short as well. Yeah, good 3 yards short of Cook. No, the wickets that I first played on here at Headingley, sort of late 90s, they were improving, but they still were minefields compared to a lot of places for a batsman. But from, I reckon, 2001, 2002 onwards, nothing but belters I've played on a bit for batsmen. They always do a bit. There's a lot of slip catches that get offered at Headingley. They bowl full and people drive. You tend to nick a lot. One of the quirks of the place, but best one-day batting wickets I've ever seen up here.
Broad to Brathwaite outside the off stump. Brathwaite plays that. Didn't have to, but he came forward. He didn't time it at all. Back down the pitch, and Broad picks up, and immediately after that delivery, who's that's run forward? It's Cook who's run from first slip, is it? To have a word with Broad.
He's forgotten he's not skipper anymore. Or I'd like to think Joe Root stood to, oi, Cook, go and tell ball or something for us.
Yeah.
Sent him on his way.
That's an old-style Yorkshire captain.
Yeah.
Get someone else to do it for you.
Now look for the youngster. Oi, youngster, take your helmet off. The short leg, top baller.
Just on the Yorkshire theme, there's a couple of tweets from Simon Hughes this morning which made me laugh. Here's Broad. Bowling to Brathwaite, who's squared up by that one a bit. Thickish outside edge, goes towards backward point, and there's no run. Just referring to that match on Thursday. Shocking performance Thursday, Simon. A man just said to me, shouldn't have been playing, I replied. The man said, you shouldn't have been playing when you were playing, he said. Nice lot the Yorkies, this is Simon's final sentence in that tweet. Often give it to you straight up here, don't they? 31 for 2. Broad bowls to Brathwaite. He comes forward and plays out defensively towards that extra cover. And there is no run. So Bishoo out for 1 this morning. Anderson creeping up, 494 Test match wickets. 6 runs away.
Or wickets.
6
anyway.
wickets away. Sorry, I just.
Has he got 500 Test runs yet?
Anderson?
Of course he has. Yeah. Be flippant. Sorry.
He's over 1,000, isn't he? And 1,000 runs. 31 for 2, West Indies. Still 227 runs behind. Such an important morning for them if they are to try to get back in the series, put some pressure on England. And Brathwaite, who is adhesive, faces Broad, and he turns that into the onside towards mid-on. And there is no run. And that's the end of Broad's over. Probing over from Broad, right on the money, on target, keeping Brathwaite honest. He's bowled 8 overs, 0 for 24. West Indies 31 for 2. Andrew.
It's got 1,112 Test runs.
There you go.
It set the record for the most innings to reach 1,000 runs.
He also had a record for a long while, the most innings in Test cricket without a duck.
That's right. His first 54 innings.
First 54, but since then he's had loads, hasn't he?
He's now the England record holder. Yeah.
When you lose it big time.
We used to giggle in the change rooms about Jimmy Anderson's prowess. And there used to be like a standing ovation at every ground as soon as he got his first run. I remember there was deathly silence when he got out. I think he was here, actually. I think he was Headingley for naught. As he took his kit off, he says, I think this might be the start of something big, this. He knew. He just knew he'd escaped it for so long.
Played his most famous, I think second most famous Test innings here. This is Anderson going into bowl. That's slightly uppish from Hope into the onside, past short leg towards mid-on, and there is no run.
Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
Out the last ball of the game.
Penultimate ball of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, he batted superbly. Great resistance, and of course he made his, was it 91? Or 81?
No,
81 at Trent Bridge on the flattest, dullest Test pitch I think I've ever seen in England.
It's India.
Yeah.
When Alastair Cook got his wicket.
That's right. That's right.
With the Bob Willis impression. Good old Test cricket.
Anderson from the football stand end, bowls outside of Hope's off stump, and there's no stroke, and it's through to Bairstow.
Well, Stuart Broad's actually caught up with him in most ducks for England. They jointly hold the record on 22.
Well, that tells a tale as well, doesn't it? The fact that Broad's batting is it nosedive, is it fair to say?
Not since he had his nose rearranged.
Well, it's not easy as a lower order player dealing with that sort of blow. I mean, only you know. I mean, it's we saw it happen. Only you know what that feels like, and the pressure it puts on you as a batsman.
Yeah.
Psychological pressure it puts on you as a player. Anderson bowls, defended by Hope. He wants his first run. He gets it short of Broad, wearing his sun hat, coming in from sort of half mid-off, half extra cover.
I mean, the thing is for Stuart that I genuinely feel sorry for him, because when he first started, he's always been a really good striker of the ball. He still is a lovely time of the ball, but he's very uppish and flary and flirty through the offside. So people used to pitch it up to nick him off, and he'd get a few away, get the odd 50. But then when he got hit, people realised he had a glaring weakness to the short ball. So that's all they do now. As soon as he walks into bat, they set the field. We're going to bump you. So he knows it's coming. He's not even got the option of good length balls outside of stump anymore. I feel for him.
He's going to get plenty of that in Australia. The Gabba first Test match, because he did very well in Australia last time. Anderson bowls. Hope lets that one go. Closer to off stump that time, but Hope showing good judgment through to Bairstow.
What he needs to do is just start hooking. Happy hooking. As soon as it's short, swing as hard as you can, because it's actually, when you do that, you end up watching the ball a lot better. And as a tail ender, he's not going to do that because the field's set and he'll look bad if he's caught on the boundary. But he's getting out for naught anyway, because they'll just pitch the next one up and his feet are nowhere. So he might as well. It's what he did when he first started. He'd swing at everything, and he'd top edge him for 6 or middle him for 6, and he'd get the odd 50 here or there. I think he needs to go back to that.
Brathwaite waits. That's outside the off stump, moving away, and Brathwaite lets it go. Lots of patience, Brathwaite. We've seen that before in Test cricket from him. 55 balls for his 25, 32 for 2 the score. With Bishoo out for 1 this morning. I mean, is it worth? Does he have the time? Does he have the inclination? Going and working on someone actually just bowling short, in the nets or whatever, just bowling short to try to get that. If you can, get some sort of confidence
get the monkey
back.
off your back.
Yeah, get some confidence back in your batting. I know people have done that in the past, haven't they? When they go to play in the West Indies, and I'm going back a few years now, before a tour to the West Indies, go in the nets, perhaps even an indoor school. Anderson goes in and bowls to Brathwaite. Brathwaite drives. Broad affects a good stop away to his left. extra cover. Gets the applause from the crowd for that. Deserved it as well. Anderson's bowled 10 overs, 2 for 6. West Indies 32 for 2. Quick word from Andrew.
Yeah, Anderson's bowling here at Headingley's always been an issue. You know, he's supposed to not have a good record. He had 19 wickets at 41 before this last year's test against Sri Lanka. And since then he's taken 12 for 51, averaging 4 1/4.
In how many overs as well? I mean, he's so economical. That's the other aspect of Anderson's bowling.
It'll be 35 overs in the Sri Lanka test on this one.
So well under 2 runs per over. But yeah, that point about Broad, is it worth doing that? I mean,
I think it is, but there's also the point of his career, and he's so good with the ball, sort of just take him for what he is and say, well, let's not get in his head too much. I mean, for me, one of the best things that ever happened to me was in a test match. Peter Siddle just hit me about 3 times because I didn't know what to do because we were trying to save a test match.
Where was that?
At Cardiff. And they had a short leg and a deep square leg, and I was a happy hooker. As soon as it's short, I'd just flap as hard as I could. And I didn't want to get out like that. And so I found myself in post. I didn't know what to do. Got hit about 3 times. And from that, I got a reputation of can't play the short ball, so I get bowled a lot of it. But I didn't get out to it. So it never bothered me because I know, well, I'm not getting out if they pitch it short.
Yeah.
It was when they pitched it up, I'd get caught all the time. So I was sort of the opposite to Stuart.
You didn't mind them bowling short?
Yeah, no, because there's only one way you can get out to a short ball, and that's caught. When it's pitched up, there's 9 ways you can get out. And so it was a numbers game for me.
Did you ever think about obstructing the field to get out? Here is Woakes into the attack for the first time this morning. Big swinger away from Kyle Hope.
It's a massive swinging
delivery,
wasn't
it? I think it's almost the biggest swinging delivery all summer. It just pitched a bit wide for Hope to play at it, but it went a long way.
I wonder if anyone's actually thought, oh, today I shall obstruct the field. I've thought about hitting a few fielders in my time, but not obstructing them.
A few law changes coming in October, and one of them is to get rid of handling the ball as a method of dismissal. So we're down from 10 to 9 from October the 1st. So Woakes bowls another away swinger.
Getting rid of it?
Well, it's being incorporated in another law, which is obstructing the field.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So rather than having separate laws,
just a needless law change.
Yeah. There are all sorts of things happening in October. I need to catch up. I saw John Holder the other day, and he was saying, he said the new laws. He said, he put his 2 fingers together, said, they're that thick. And I'll need to catch up with them over the winter.
Oh, that's good. So someone sat down and wasted a lot of time and money coming up with pointless law changes.
Here's Woakes bowling, another away swinger, but it's starting wide enough for Hope to let that go. What Woakes, I presume, or canny pace bowlers will be working on here is one that comes back
draw him back. He'll try and draw him across the crease. I mean, this may be flippant to us. Is there any cricketer out there who is bothered by the fact that handleball is a separate dismissal?
Michael Vaughan. Because unless somebody in the next 5 weeks is out of the ball, Michael Vaughan's going to be the last one ever in Test cricket.
What a waste of time and money that is.
Here is Woakes, and he plays at that one. He felt he had to because it started on middle and off and moved away again. This is testing bowling from Woakes. He pitches a little bit fuller. What they have done as well, I mean, seriously, there are other law changes that have been brought in, things like players being sent off, so sort of disciplinary measures being brought in.
Well, that's fair enough. Yeah. But just before I go, because Sir Geoffrey's behind me, can you just tell me, Andrew, has anyone ever been timed out? Because I've appealed countless times since someone's obviously looked at their pads. I was out there and don't be silly.
Woakes bowls to Hope, and then Hope gets another away swing, and he covers it. Rather cautiously, plays that towards backward point, and there's no run.
Big swing from Woakes. I think it might be his day, the shape he's got early on. Andrew?
I think there's about 4 cases altogether in first-class cricket, players being timed out. Not very often, though.
I reckon every Saturday a wicket falls and someone's is it me? And they're padding up late and the whole huddle's watching and waiting. No one ever appeals, do they?
I think it's one of the strangest things about cricket. We talk about over rates. I know people say don't bang on about over rates. Here's Woakes going into bowl. Oh, a beauty. He's almost got that perfectly. He's a hole over to get it right, and he did, but Brathwaite didn't nick it. 32 for 2. Why is it that the next man in has to be sitting up in the in the 3rd floor of the pavilion? 2020, the batsman's ready to come in. As soon as the wicket falls, on you go straight away, rather than have to wait to come down 3 flights of steps and make your way out. I think it's a strange allowance that batsmen get before they have to take strike for their first ball. Anyway, that might be one way of quickening things up. I know Jeffrey's very hot on the over. I won't get you onto that first thing on a Saturday morning, Jeffrey. Let's enjoy this glorious Yorkshire weather.
In God's country.
Costa del Yorkshire today, isn't it?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Not good for England, though. The sunshine comes out. It's a bit easier to bat at Heading. It always has been.
Here's Anderson. 6 away from 500. Bowls to Brathwaite. He turns that away into the onside. And it's picked up at backwards square leg by Stoneman. And there is another run to the total. Brathwaite to 26 and West Indies 33 for 2.
Great for West Indies, this. I mean, yesterday had a good day, overcast, the pitch did a little bit, and they bowled terrific. They were up for it. Today, the sun's shining on them, which is good, because it's always easier to bat. I don't say the pitch is easy, there'll still be a little there, but it's never quite the same, Heading. It just is. Don't ask me why, over all the years I've been here. It's easier with the sun out.
Anderson in, outside of Hope's off stump, well wide. There was some movement there, it swung away, but no threat to the batsman whatsoever.
And they're making a better fist of it. What they're doing, they're trying to stay in, aren't they? Not forcing the issue. Stay in, wait for a ball to come that you can hit easily, or a thick outside edge, wear the bowlers down. Don't go chasing the ball. Don't go chasing runs until you're really in. Maybe this afternoon, ball's older.
Yeah, just to emphasise that, when the 21st over, 33 on the board. Anderson bowls, a fidgety defensive shot from Hope, slides that away off an open face off the back foot towards Moeen, who's feeling at backward point, and there is no run. Well, it's a lovely day for cricket. Not too hot, it's a lovely day for watching. Pleasantly warm, shirt sleeve crowd. Good crowd in as well here at Headingley, as you probably expect on the Saturday of a test match.
Full house today.
Yeah. Lots of empty, well, quite a few empty blue seats, but people are off buying drinks and chatting and things like that behind the stands. Anderson moves in to bowl to the right-handed Hope, who doesn't time it. The chase for Broad, though, he's found a gap. Broad's after it, and they're coming back for the second. Broad returns to Anderson's end, and if that hit the stumps, the non-striker may have been short of his ground there. It's very dicey too. It was always a long shot for Broad to hit the stumps from there. Also had one stump to aim at from towards the extra cover region. Let's have a look at the replay. Oh, he would have been gone. Yeah, no doubt about it. That throw had hit the stumps, he would have been out.
Well, it didn't look at two to me.
No.
He started for the second run and Broad's just picking it up.
And he wasn't that far away.
No. I think it's a working day. If you really love cricket, if you love the competitiveness between bat and ball, not these flat pitches where runs are easy, I think you're a real connoisseur. You'll enjoy today.
Anderson bowls to Hope, who got two for that. He edges, and he's brilliantly caught at second slip. Hope's gone for 3. That's a fabulous catch from Joe Root away to his left-hand side in 2 hands. It hurt a bit as well. I think he took one on the finger in practice this morning, but he snaffled that. That's a really good catch. Slow motion, we're seeing it in slow motion, doesn't do it justice because it went so quickly. Hope's out for 3. It's another one for Anderson. He's taken all 3, and he's got 495.
Wonderful delivery as well. I keep saying, and I don't want to upset anybody by repeating what I know about Headingley, you must pitch it up. He pitched that up. He's been getting movement last night and this morning. But once you can sit on the back foot and it's short, Headingley doesn't have the pace of some pitches, so you've got time to avoid it on the back foot or move with it and play it. But once you pitch it up, which he did then, he got him sort of tentative, poking forward, not really great footwork, but that's what happens. They sit on the back foot at Headingley because it's easier when it's short to watch it and you have time to play it. And then when it's up, if they don't transfer the weight properly with the footwork, you're in no man's land with your feet. He nicked it, and it was, as you said, super catch. That was low to his left, two-handed dive in, it went quick, and he wouldn't have seen it quite the same because when you're at second slip and they're playing outside off stump at it, you see it kind of down the pitch and all the way. This was probably about middle, turned him round a little bit, full, so you kind of are slightly blinded a little bit. It comes late, caught it brilliantly. That's what I was saying about there'll be some wonderful cricket today, from catching, bowling, and if somebody makes runs, he's going to have to play well. And so, you know, not these pitches. I mean, Alastair was talking at our 60th anniversary celebration match to me afterwards and saying they like these lower scoring matches where the bowlers are in the game, because every run is priceless and keeps everybody on the toes, spectators, players. I loved them when I played, and they are. And I still think 250 will be enough for England. They bowl well and catch well, it will be enough.
We're seeing that route catch, and the spectators are as well on the big screen over and over again. But actually, what the replay you need to see is in normal speed, because
Yes,
slow motion
quick
makes
it went.
look. Well, everything looks so easy in slow motion.
Wonderful delivery, turned him round, left him a wonderful catch.
Now, one Hope has gone. Here's another one for West Indies. It's Shai Hope, and Anderson bowls him a good one first up, which just squares him up. It squirts away off a thickish outside edge down towards backward point, and there is no run. It's the end of Anderson's over. Look at his figures. 11 overs, 3 for 9. And West Indies are tottering again. 35 for 3 in reply to England's 258. More from Jeffrey, and then Dan Norcross.
All I can say is Simon leaves me. I know which end I'd like to be batting at this morning. That's very clear. If I got to Broad's end and now Chris Woakes' end, I don't think I'd be moving too far, except for 2s and 4s.
What are his figures? Is it 2 for 1 or 5, Anderson, today?
2 for 4 or 5.
2 for 4 or 5.
You've got to know which is the best end to bat at, you know.
Yeah. So you're just standing there. You're not going to.
Well,
you're not going to back up.
If he gets a single, then I'll go. But he's got to get the single when Anderson's bowling.
Right. Well, Brathwaite, I should say, is on strike on 26, and he's
all
firmly
good.
rooted at Woakes' end. And Woakes is in with 4 slips, and ball on off stump is pushed out to the offside. Broad will trot into field.
That was a perfect delivery I'm talking about. It swung from his arm, so it did something, but it was quite short of a length. He'd so much time to stay back and play it with ease with my stick of rhubarb, wouldn't he? Once you're back, there's no great pace at Headingley. And then also he needs is somebody with experience to stand mid-off, mid-on. Say, Christ, you don't have to bowl express pace, just pitch it up, move it, nip it back, move it away, but get it up there.
He's in now, and Brathwaite just defends that again from the crease. Again, not dragging him forward. He's able just to stay on the crease and push into the offside. That happened a little bit yesterday as well, didn't it, Jeffrey? I mean, I felt Anderson and Broad were a little bit too short.
Broad was
night.
miles too short. He had wonderful rhythm. And watch the pace he was bowling was good. This morning he hasn't had the rhythm. If you've looked at the speed, he's been down to 79. That nick he got to Alastair Cook on the bounce, he was 79 mile an hour. He bowls 84 at his best, 85. Not more, but you know, he's got tall, he's got height and all that. And it just makes a difference it didn't carry.
Here's Woakes again with those 4 slips. And so that is Fuller, but a little too wide. As a result, Brathwaite's able to leave that and let it go. It's swinging sort of from the arm, though. It's very predictable at the moment.
I don't expect Woakes to bowl his absolute best. He hasn't had much cricket. But I'm glad they're playing him, because I think if he's fit, he's our third seamer in Australia with Stuart Broad and James Allen. I think he's a
So
good
you'd have
cricketer.
those 3 with Stokes as well, obviously, and then
Yes.
Moeen
I don't know
Ali.
how much Stokes is going to bowl. I think I said yesterday with his knee and everything.
Here is Woakes once more, and that's shorter again, as easily played from the crease again by Brathwaite into the offside.
Get my stick of rhubarb out. You can play those.
What's partly the thinking about it? I mean, is it just a concern at being driven? And I don't know why there would be, because at 35 for 3.
I think Jonathan was the first one that told me. He's going back a while now. We were talking, and he says they've got it into a head to bowl back of a length. They do not like get driven off the front foot through the offside, and he should know as a bowler. And I talked to Simon Hughes, not as he bowled well the other day at Michael Vaughan,
Not
but
so well,
he,
no.
he does know about bowling. And he says you get into that mental state.
Woakes in again. That is Fuller, and he is driven, but goes straight to Stuart Broad at short extra cover. There's no run.
It's as if they don't like it. Probably it's a modern day phenomenon. When I say modern, the last number of years, because of one-day cricket, if you pitch it up, they slog it, don't they? They whack it for 6. And yet, when we had no one-day cricket, and I played in the 60s and that, everybody was told to pitch it up and swing it. And if you won't, give him an extra cover, give him a mid-off, an undercover, and give him a bit of protection, but get it up there.
Woakes does get that up there, but again, it's a little bit too wide. He's not making Brathwaite play. Goes through to the keeper, there's no run. But if you've got 4 slips, Jeffrey, what are they there for unless they're there for the nick off the drive?
Absolutely. And I don't blame Joe at 26 taking over as captain. As he gets his feet under the table, he'll probably say more, but you got to remember that Stuart Broad and James Anderson have played more test matches than him, haven't they? They're older than him and more experienced than him, and yet he's the young captain. It's very difficult, unless you're a very strong man, to go up and say, hey, listen here, you. This is what I want now. He'd probably talk to him nicely, you know, because he's getting his feet under the table. But eventually, he'll say something stronger.
Anderson into Hope. Ball's too short again. That's easily defended to the offside, where it's picked up by Moeen Ali. There are 4 slips in as well for Shai Hope, the new batsman. And oh, by the way, Andrew, am I right in thinking that Broad and Anderson are zeroing in on a partnership record? Or have they done that again? Ambrose and Walsh took how many together? You can work that out, can't you? You'll work that out.
You like to give him some things, don't we?
I like him to, otherwise he just...
He's bored, isn't he? He just sits there doing nothing and
you
eating.
Have to feed the goat.
Feed the goat.
4 slips outside the off stump.
Is that in relation to his beard?
It is, yes. It is, really. Sorry.
I think I'm going to go home now.
He's looking at me with a really terrible expression on his face now.
That was good.
Thank you.
That was good.
Anyway, I've upset him now. I'm not sure I'm going to get my stats. We've got 4 slips and a backward point, a short extra, mid-on, man in front of square on the leg side, and a long leg. It's almost a deep backward square, really. He's that wide. As Anderson is in to Shai Hope. And he bowls a better ball that snakes past the outside edge of Hope's bat. Now, Hope's into his 12th match, Jeffrey. He's had 1 score over 50. He's got a 90. Averages... It's 18. I mean, that's a sort of Jim Fote, if you will, of Test cricket.
That's why I said at Edgbaston, it's men and boys. It's a shame. You know, we all want West Indies to play well, do well. It's such a wonderful history as their cricket nation.
Here is Anderson to Hope, and that's defended well and solidly into the offside.
It hasn't helped, you know, with quite a number of their players not really wanting to play Test cricket. I mean, they want to keep themselves fit and make a lot of money playing 2020. I don't blame them for that. I can't. How can you blame somebody wanting to, you know, earn a lot of money? But it's really sad. I mean, there's Kieran Powell, there's Gale, there's the 2 Bravos.
Marlon Samuels too.
Marlon Samuels.
Anderson in again to Hope. That's too wide, but then it swings back after it's left the batsman into the gloves.
Darren Bravo, the left-hander, play the supreme innings at Barbados to win against us or something. Last time we were there, and Dwayne Bravo, I think, is one of the best cricketers I've had for years. He bowls and bats, and gets fortune of money in the IPL because he's a wonderful cricketer. And what Jerome Taylor was a fine fast bowler and didn't want to play, fell out with the board. And crikey, if they had them all fit and wanting to play.
Anderson in to Hope, but that's on his pads, on his hip, really. He's worked round the corner for a single. A rare run of Anderson today. It gets Hope off the mark of his 7th ball. 36 for 3. Goodness me. Right, well, that is the end of the over. 23 overs gone. And what have we got here? Dear Aggers and the TMS team, as is tradition when I attend a Test match, I bring with me a cake that I hope we'll all enjoy. This year's offering is a sponge cake with a bit of chocolate on it.
A bit?
A bit. What's your prognosis about that, Jeffrey?
I like the first slice. For me, can I have one now?
It's about 8 inches high. I'll tell you what it is. Am I allowed to say what these things are around the outside? Because other thin chocolate sticks are available, but it's surrounded by matchmakers. You may be familiar with a matchmaker. A matchmaker is about the length of my middle finger, which is
what
about
are these? These are
4
nice.
inches.
What do you call those?
Those are chocolate buttons. There's some chocolate buns, and these are they're kind of like hazelnutty, crunchy things. It's my first visit to Headingley, and I'm here with 2 great friends, David Curtis and Andrew Holden. By the time you read this, we will probably be on our 2nd pork pie of the day. Thank you, Ian Crooks, as the first ball of Woakes' new over is full and swinging away and into the gloves.
I love the first Ferrero Rocher.
That's
it?
Oh,
I'll
you
tell
spoil
you if it's
us.
any good.
You spoil us, Ambassador. It's an extraordinary beast of a cake. When he said a little bit of chocolate on it, that's the understatement of the year. Swanee was trying to get his mitts on it, but Adam wouldn't let him earlier. He came over very headmasterly. As Woakes is in once more. Oh, and that's another beauty. Getting a little bit fuller. It's turned Hope round. He's stayed stuck on the crease. And it's flowed into the gloves of Bairstow. You can see a picture of this extraordinary cake on our Twitter feed at BBC TMS.
I'm glad you kept talking. I've just had my first Ferrero Rocher. It was lovely. Well done.
I thought I'd cover for you there. There's 3 more of those, as well as about 80 chocolate buttons, and it's all encased in a fortification of matchmakers. As Woakes is in again, and that's another ball that swings away a lot. But actually, I think Hope was playing inside that. He was aware of what's going on here. And Woakes needs to be able, doesn't he, Jeffrey, to get one just to come back in, because at the moment it's all.
Don't need to swing it in, but he just needs to nip it
Yeah.
back. Keep them honest, as we say.
But as at the moment, I think he's expecting the away swing, and that was again a little bit too short, a little bit too wide. Woakes has got to get a bit tighter to the stumps if he can, which may, of course, prevent the ball from swinging away. We'll see. He's in now, quite wide of the crease, and that's on the pads. Worked into the onside, it's going to be picked up at square leg.
He tried to them, but he pushed it, didn't he? He tried to bowl it in, but he didn't bowl it in. He pushed it into the legs. People out there know who bowl. It was a push, and so it went onto the pads, and it was easy to sneak a one. Where he wants to bowl it, where he's bowling the outswing or off stump round about there, and nip it back, not shove it down there, bowl it.
Wants to get a little bit tighter to those stumps as well if he can, I think.
He won't have bowled that much since his injury, has he, Andrew? I can't believe.
Well, no, he just had the one game. It was 1-4.
One first play. He played a couple of second level
Must
games.
have played a couple of second 11.
4 slips in. He's got Brathwaite in his sights and he defends this at the offside. They're going through for a quick single. They'll get it very easily. It's a good shot that from Brathwaite. Spotted the gap. Again, he's able to wait for it on the crease. He's not being dragged forward at all. He's just staying where he is.
Stay back. You don't have to move it Headingley. It's a wonderful back foot. If you can play back foot Headingley, stay back. It's easy.
Is that why the Aussies get so many runs here?
Yeah, so Bradman got 200-300s here. He got his world record here. He also, in one other test, he got a failure first innings. Then when they had to chase 400 to win last day, he got 170 odd not out. And I'll check it. He got 170 something not out.
Woakes into Hope, and that is Fuller, and that does turn it around. He gets a thick outside edge. It's running down to the untenanted third man boundary, and it goes into the sponge for 4. Takes the score up to 42 for 3. Had 6 runs off this over. I imagine that's probably the most profligate over of the day.
There was one with 8, so 2 4s off one over. But
was it?
Bradman's still the leading run scorer in Test cricket at this ground.
Got more runs than anybody had in. I know that.
How many?
963 at an average of just 192.6.
He liked Headingley, didn't he? You don't want to bowl at him at Headingley.
Oh, crikey. Oh.
200-300s, one of them in a day.
Yeah,
a day himself.
That's something.
300 in a day.
We were talking about, during the Essex-West Indies games, we were talking about the Essex-Australia tour match in 1948 when Australia scored 700 in a day. But do you know how many overs were bowled that day?
About 120 odd.
About 120. They were going at 6 and over.
Yeah. And
I mean, it seems
that
like
was Keith Miller came in when there were like, I don't know, millions. And he just said bowl. The umpire said, what guard do you want? He said, no, just tell him to bowl straight. He just shouldered arms and went off for naught. He just thought it was overkill. They were so much better, that Australian team, than anybody else. He thought this was ridiculous. He had a joy for life, you know, after being in the war. His bowling was like that, his batting was, and he thought, this is silly. What am I doing here batting? You know, there were like 500-600. Well, miles better than any of the county sides, one of the greatest sides that's there ever been, or teams.
Change of bowler. Broad's coming in from the Anderson's end, and he's cut away. First ball, too short, too wide. A good shot from Brathwaite. Clatters it into the boundary for 4. 46 for 3, and the West Indies are digging in here. They've lost the night watchman, and they've got to see that as half a wicket. They've lost Kyle Hope, and that is a wicket. But these two, well, Brathwaite especially has impressed me today.
Yeah, he's played well. Stuart Broad, for all those bowlers out there, listen, he hasn't got his rhythm right this morning. It's like sometimes as batsmen, you go out and you want to bat, but it just isn't quite there, and he hasn't got it there. We watched 3 balls this morning he bowled from the pavilion end. The rhythm wasn't the same as last night.
4 slips and a back. Good point, as this ball's worked up to mid-on off the back foot again. Aggers always says he can tell when Broad's got the rhythm. He says by looking at his heels, isn't it? He kicks his heels up and they and they clatter into his bottom.
Oh. Well, last night he was racing in, he just couldn't get the line right. He was too wide. They didn't play the ball, didn't make him play, but he was racing in at pace. But this morning, I saw 3 balls and he's never been there. It doesn't mean to say he can't find it through the day. Might come out after lunch and bowl superbly, but at the moment, it's not there.
Here he is again, and that ball's too wide and well taken by Jonny Bairstow, diving to his right in front of first slip, very low to the ground. Andrew.
Jimmy Anderson last night bowled 6 overs, 3 maidens, 1 for 5, and this morning's bowled 6 overs, 3 maidens, 2 for 5. So
hey, that's consistency.
We'd like to bowl him all day, Andrew,
Yeah.
but you can't, unfortunately.
No.
Both ends will be even nicer.
But between him and Broad, they're now up to 733 wickets in Test matches played together.
So in terms of seam
So in terms of fast bowling partnerships, they're just behind Ambrose and Walsh.
Here's Broad in once more. And that's wide and essayed at by Brathwaite. Wide and short. He thought of having a go at it, and I think he actually did, but he drew his bat out of the way to sort of pretend that he hadn't. He got away with it. Took the keeper, no run.
Ambrose and Walsh 762 in the tests they played together.
So they're 29 behind.
Yeah, so it's another couple of tests away.
You'd think at least, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Sometime during the Ashes, I would guess. Well, it's not mathematically impossible to do it in this
sorry,
series.
how many tests between them have they played together? I mean, how many tests have they played together to get that 733? As Broad is in once more. And that ball's on the hip, and it's just easily worked round the corner. Broad's both sides of the wicket at the moment. He's not got his length right, and he's not got his line right. Brathwaite picks up 4 more. It brings up the West Indies 50. 50 for 3. Just before the end, 1 ball to go in the 25th over.
The word we would use, and Jonathan would understand, is toiling.
Toiling?
Toiling is a word. I'm not sure it's in the Oxford Dictionary.
Oh, I think it.
But I think is it? But it's toiling. It's hard work, isn't it, to get to the stumps and to deliver. You can see it's just not there. And
but he's a guy that has these sudden flashes of moments, doesn't he? I mean,
I wish he'd find one now.
Well, I dare say he does too. 4 slips and a backward point. Moeen Ali's Brathwaite just defends a fuller, better ball on off stump, and Broad rolls the ball back to slips and wicket keeper. It's the end of the over. 50 for 3. He's not quite got it at the moment. You wonder really if better bet is just to bring Stokes on, let him have a bowl at top end.
And Ben, I don't know. Look, I have nothing to do with the team, but I just watch. Ben's getting wider and wider on the crease. I want Jonathan, my friend, when he comes home, just watch him. He used to bowl closer to the stumps, and the closer you get to the stumps, it's easier to make the outswinger go, and it becomes much more
effective as well.
More effective ball. But once you stay wide of the crease, it's much harder to make the ball go out from there. And I've just been watching as a batsman. Look, he sees it as a bowler, I see it as a batsman. I'm watching, I'm thinking, he's getting wider.
It's pretty gloomy up above as Woakes bowls a full ball, a good ball, right in the channel. That's where he wants it. And Hope pushes at it and misses.
And it might have something to do with his knee, I don't know. But they have a bowling coach. I
suppose it would, wouldn't it? If you've got a slight problem with your knee, the closer you get to stumps, the slightly harder it is.
Because you've got to swivel more with your hips. That's a bowler like Jonathan is somebody, but it is tougher.
I think there's just a hint of a soupçon of rain out there. Not enough to take them off. As the next delivery is edged in front of third slip, it's going to run away down towards the boundary for 4. They've got a hand on it. Did who was that? Westley at third slip.
It wasn't a catch, was he? Wasn't a carry. Those that pitch in front of you, they can break a finger. He held his position. He didn't push and poke at it firmly, and that's the thing. He's seeing it swinging because it's swinging from the arm, and he just held it. But he relaxed his hand. It hits the edge, but it doesn't carry, and that's the way to play.
Takes Hope into double figures. He has 10. Sorry, Andrew.
This is the 96th test that Broad and Anderson have played together, which is 1 more than Walsh and Ambrose.
Right, so they're averaging around about 7.5 wickets per test, aren't they? So that 29 would happen in 4 tests or so, 3.5, 4 tests. Woakes in again to Hope. Oh, he's beaten on the outside edge. That's a much better ball. And he's got him just stuck on the crease there. He doesn't know whether to go back or forward. He just stays there, pushes at the ball.
Got to have patience.
Goes to the keeper
as well. When you get like this, it's like we talk about us showing patience, batting. the bowlers, have to be patient. They have to say, okay, just because I bowl a really good ball, don't mean I'm going to get a wicket every ball. It doesn't work like that. We play a miss and get a thick edge. It goes for 4. But just have patience, bowl the line, bowl the length, and work on the. Eventually, you'll get one.
In again, Woakes. Oh, and that's gorgeous. He's taken the edge. They're convinced. Woakes is convinced. Bairstow's convinced. Umpire is not convinced. Bairstow's now got his hands wide. He's looking at route. Now they might refer this. What's he going to do? They're not going to, are they? I don't think they are going to refer it. It looked perfect, but I think that's because Woakes is getting considerable shape.
I watched Jonny Bairstow, particularly the wicketkeeper, has the best view. I watched him with Joe Root as Joe came forward. He didn't really say definitely go for this. We've seen the replay now.
No, he's missed that. It's hit his back pad.
Yeah. And Johnny didn't really say, oh, it's definitely out, Captain. You could see, I watched him.
Well, we've just seen the ultra edge, and it's definitely not hit the bat, it's hit the pad.
Yeah.
But you then wonder about the LBW appeal, but it was going over the top.
Over the top. No.
Flew into the gloves of Bairstow.
I mean, wicketkeepers aren't always right, but they do have the best view.
Good decision from the umpire, got to be said. Beautiful ball. Woakes bowls again. In that channel, but a bit too short. Dabbed down to backward point. No run. The score remains 54 for 3.
It's interesting.
It certainly is.
Keep the cloud over. It's going to be interesting all day. It won't go away.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it, Jeff?
No.
I mean, the clouds are considerable here. I don't think... Well, the forecast was for it not to rain.
No, it's going to get sunnier, they said.
And we've also just seen ball tracking, which shows the ball was going over the top by some margin.
Excellent decision.
All round. As Woakes, in the end, aborts his run-up. He didn't quite get that right, so he'll have to start all over again. The lights are on. It's a strange feeling. It feels more like sort of 5:30, 6 o'clock at the moment here.
I thought West Indies were going to be lucky with the forecast and get a wonderful sunny day, because it forecast certainly by 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, it will be 19, 20 degrees with sunshine.
Which is equivalent to 30, isn't it, for anywhere else, really?
Yes, in Yorkshire, that's a very good sunny day.
Here is Woakes. In again, full. That's defended from the crease into the offside. That completes the over. 54 for 3. Commentary continues on 5 Live Sports Extra, the digital radio, online and via the BBC Sport app. But Radio 4 long-wave listeners are leaving us briefly for the shipping forecast. The drinks are coming onto the field. It is a gloomy, close kind of atmosphere. It feels perfect for bowling, doesn't it, at the moment?
Definitely. Definitely. You just got to graft as a batsman. I mean, it's not a terror pitch, but it moves.
Well, and we've seen a considerable amount of away swing as well today. So,
yeah, but if he's been swinging it from the arm a lot, which, as a batsman, is a lot easier, because I know if it starts early, I know which way it's going. It's when it goes straight for halfway down, and then it starts to go, got less time.
It has been predictable. The batsmen have been waiting on the crease repeatedly. They've not been drawn forward, but there have been some alarms. 2 wickets have gone down in that first hour. The night watchman, which you might see is like half a wicket.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Kyle Hope. But with more thoughts on that, we're going to bring in Fazir, who's looking, I'd have to say, happier than he did this time yesterday, but not quite as happy as he did at the start of play. And replacing Jeffrey, it's going to be Michael Vaughan.
Thank you very much, Dan. Yes, for the West Indies, as we discussed before the start of play, an air of optimism, cautious optimism, and that caution would have been justified by the 2 wickets going down, the overcast conditions. Where's the Met Office when you need them, with a better forecast for more sunshine? Temperatures around 20 degrees this afternoon. But certainly, Michael, good morning to you. It's been a testing morning for the West Indies, and once again we see the excellence of Jimmy Anderson in these conditions.
Yeah, he's a wonderful bowler to watch in all conditions, really. He's got the skill levels to bowl on all surfaces, but particularly when you get an overcast day, and I guess any English test match venue with a Duke ball, the ball's going to be swinging around, but particularly Leeds at Headingley. Traditions tell you that as soon as the clouds arrive at Leeds, the batsmen start to know exactly what's going to be on hand. Bowled a good length. I mean, Broad struggled for his length. He's just not found his rhythm. I think throughout the whole summer, actually, Faz, that if you look at the test match against South Africa, the first test match at Edgbaston, and now here at Headingley, I think Stuart Broad is fighting for rhythm. And then every now and again he clicks like he did at Edgbaston for that one spell. He had a good spell at Old Trafford against South Africa. One good spell against South Africa at the Oval. But I think he's been very inconsistent. He's really struggling to find rhythm. I don't know why. You know, the one thing that I look at with Stuart Broad is that when I see he's talking to the physio now, whether he's got a little problem with some part of his body, I'm not too sure, but I always look at his paces. And when he's bowling at 79 to 81, 82 miles an hour, I just don't think he's in sync. He's not in rhythm. Now, whether he's not running as hard, I'm not too sure, but it's when he gets his paces to 84 miles an hour. So he found the outside edge of, I think it was Brathwaite early. The ball was 79 miles an hour. It just died into the surface, probably landed 2 or 3 yards short of first slip. It was 84 miles an hour. That snick would probably have carried. So I'd always be looking, you know, if I'm Joe Root out in the middle, I'd be sending a message back to the dressing room just to keep me updated on the paces of Stuart Broad.
Welcome back as well to our Radio 4 long wave listeners who just had the shipping forecast. It's overcast here, and just looking out in the distance, there looks like a little bit of rain sweeping by. Whether it'll actually brush the ground, we'll have to wait and see. There was a bit of a sprinkle for a while.
You don't get rain in Leeds, you'll be fine.
True. Right. Yeah, all those stories forecast about rain and whatever, those were just figments of people's imagination. We'd love to have the sunshine that's so far away in the distance from a West Indies point of view, but whichever way you look at it, it was always going to be a challenge for the West Indies. 258, the inexperience of the batting, the quality of the England bowling, even with Broad out of sorts, is going to be a challenge. None for 32 from 9 overs for him as he comes in from the football stand end after the drinks breaks. First delivery to Brathwaite, who's been there from the start of the innings late yesterday. Very watchful as always as he plays it back along the pitch to the bowler. On 35 he is 54 for 3. The West Indies overnight losing Devendra Bishoo, the night watchman, getting a bit adventurous, cutting a short ball from Anderson, edging to the keeper. He went without addition to his overnight score of 1. And Kyle Hope struggling in his start to Test cricket. The nightmare of Edgbaston, followed by an edge to second slip and a good catch by Joe Root, also of Anderson. He fell for 3. Broad bowls and squares up. Brathwaite takes him on the front pad and given out LBW. Immediately he's reviewing, would suggest that he believes he got an inside edge, and there's an element of doubt even
Mark, we have
from
a review
the
for
English
LBW.
reaction.
Well, I think the reaction from Stuart Broad suggests that I think he knows as well that there's an inside edge. Usually when a batsman reviews straight away,
Thank you,
that
that's a
is
fair
the case.
delivery. Can I have the front on spin vision, please?
Umpire Maria Erasmus with the instructions, the third official, and we'll get an indication here.
Yeah,
It seemed to be an inside edge.
Okay. Looks like there might be inside edge. Can I have the ultra edge, please?
We're going to get confirmation from the technology. Was there an inside edge? Yes, there was. And a pretty big one at that.
Thank you. I'm going to go back on field to Ravi.
So the decision is going to be
Ravi,
knocked back.
small inside edge.
But that's a better length for Stuart
You're on
Broad, a bit
screen now.
fuller. You know, it's almost like it's a broken record from the commentators and everyone around the ground that you know at least you've just got to bring the batsman forward. And if you get driven down the ground on a couple of occasions in these conditions, I think as a bowler you're just going to go fine. You have to be playing well to play that kind of stroke in these types of conditions. So just get the ball as full as you can. Change of ends from Broad now coming from the rugby stand end, so he's trying every trick in the book just to try and find his rhythm. And the physio's out there going, he's got a problem with that foot, that right boot came off there.
Just gone past Sir Ian Botham, of course, as England's second highest wicket taker. And Jimmy Anderson, the lead man, and the lead man so far for England in this innings with all 3 wickets. The West Indies 54 for 3 from the overnight, 19 for 1 after England were dismissed for 258 yesterday. 100 for Ben Stokes, 59 for Joe Root, and 4 wickets apiece for Shannon Gabriel and Kemar Roach. Gabriel, who missed the first Test match because of fitness issues, and Roach back in the West Indies team after an 18-month absence, and many people question the wisdom of recalling him to the West Indies side, but he's responded brilliantly. Even in the debacle of Edgbaston, he bowled with real effort and energy, had 2 for 86 in that total of 514 for 8 declared, and he's picked up 4 wickets in the first innings here. All ready to resume. 4 slips go down. as Broad in to Brathwaite, and again in that shuffling manner of his, gets across, always looks square on, and would seem to encourage the bowler every time with the way he plays from the crease as he pushes to mid-off.
Yeah, that's a good length again from Broad. I'm really impressed with Kraigg Brathwaite. I think he's it's almost like an old school play. You know, he's going to get in and behind it. I think he's quite a hard batsman to kind of find length to, because he goes back, he stays, comes, plays a bit of French cricket, doesn't he? And then when it's full, he just leans that head into the ball, plays it nice and late.
Floodlights on here at Headingley as he gets a short ball, forces this one away square for 4. Just giving him some width outside the off stump, and again emphasizing that Broad is struggling for that form and that rhythm and that confidence as far as his deliveries. Too short, and Brathwaite well equipped to put that away, not in the expansive manner of his fellow Barbadian Gordon Greenidge, who will, of course, he'll be suffering by comparison, but 4 runs nevertheless, and it's 58 for 3.
Yeah, lovely shot. Again, you see how late he plays it. Does it right under the, even though it's a cut shot, he's playing the ball right under the eye line. Enjoying Yorkshire fans?
It is interesting.
What do you mean interesting?
It's a bit too cold, Yorkshire.
Oh, you've only got a t-shirt on.
Yeah, well, the commentary box is a bit warm. The Broad bowls on the front foot is a Brathwaite, and he plays it back along the pitch. I find as I get older, even the slightest bit of overcast, and I want to bundle up. So it takes some getting used to, and if I'm here for cricket, it's fine, but as much as I enjoy the atmosphere of England and the cricket and all of that, the temperature is just a bit too much on the low side for me.
You won't be booking a holiday back here?
I don't think so.
Oh, that's disappointing.
I know. Headingley will have to live without me. As he's on the front foot of the last delivery of the over, is Brathwaite pushing it away towards that wide-ish mid-off. He remains on 39. Shai Hope is 10. The West Indies losing 2 wickets so far in the morning session. They are 58 for 3, exactly 200 runs behind England's first innings score. How do you like the Caribbean?
Oh, very nice indeed.
if anything, sometimes it gets a bit too hot. In fact, right now,
you can't have it both. You can't complain about the cold and then say it's a bit too hot. It's the Caribbean, isn't it?
Yeah, but it can
nice
get
beaches.
Yeah, but it can get too hot. It can get 30, 34, 35 degrees.
Yeah, you just jump in the sea, don't you, and cool down.
It's not as easy as that.
Have you ever been to the Yorkshire coast?
Never been to the Yorkshire
coast.
coast.
Never been to Whitby and Scarborough?
Never been to Whitby.
Wonderful beaches there.
Don't venture too far outside the room and the ground. As Chris Woakes is going to bowl to Shai Hope. He's driving loosely past the outside edge. Lost his balance, never really got across, and almost fell over in playing the drive. Shai Hope, quite unlike a Kraigg Brathwaite, who will shuffle across and cover the line of the delivery, and it went past the outside edge into Bairstow's gloves.
Yeah, that's a magnificent delivery. The seam position is perfect, and it's late shape. It's not sometimes you get early swing from the bowler's hand. That was right at the last minute, which is a real good sign for Woakes. He's bowled well enough to pick up a couple here.
4 slips and a backward point in place, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket and a long leg. As Woakes bowls a delivery that is again swinging, but he was looking for leg stump to get it to swing right across the right hand, and he's pushing it away firmly out towards the mid-on. And for Shai Hope, this is yet another challenge. There's been a lot of talk about his ability, and if you read your pre-match program, you'd read the coach of the team, Stuart Broad, talking about him being probably one of the next outstanding West Indies batsmen. But the average is 18 from 11 test matches. Got 90 against Pakistan in his native Barbados. Second innings of a test match that the West Indies won a couple of months ago. Woakes bowls to him, and he's letting this one go by outside the off stump. Held its own on its way through to the keeper, close to the off stump, but he still let it go through. But he's got to be careful here, Shai Hope. He doesn't want to be cast in that mold of looking good and shaping up well and good technique, and not really getting the runs to justify his place in the team. And there have been a few in West Indies cricket over the years. You would have come across Darren Ganga, who played 48 test matches, averaging 25. And some would argue, well, how do you play 48 test matches as a top order batsman, averaging 25? As Woakes bowls to Hope, and he's in behind it, playing it away square on the offside, and there was no run. And that reflects the declining standards in West Indies cricket, because Ganga would have come into the scene in the late 1990s, went to South Africa, didn't get too many runs, and then got a couple of hundreds, back-to-back hundreds against Australia in the Caribbean in 2003, but never really kicked on from that. But the West Indies was struggling so badly with the batting, with consistency, that he was able to play a lot more test matches than maybe his figure suggested he would. As Woakes bowls, and he's on the front foot and will get a boundary here, opening the face of the bat, guiding it away down towards third man. The West Indies have gotten quite a few runs off that outside edge so far this morning. A controlled edge from Shai Hope. He goes on to 14 and is 62 for 3.
Yeah, again, well played. Late movement, just soft hands, and that 45-degree angled bat. You know, it's a good play because it is full, and he could quite easily have driven that ball. He could have thrown the hands at the ball, but he didn't, because he knows that the movement's late. England are going to go without a fine leg by the looks of it. It's Jimmy Anderson's going to come from mid-on, Moeen Ali from fine leg to mid-on. They're going to pack that cord, and there's going to be 5 slips.
Yesterday we had 6 slips, and essentially 5 slips and a gully towards the end. Yeah, so 5 slips in place, no long leg, no third man. There's a forward square leg, a mid-on, extra cover, and a backward point. As Woakes bowls on the line of Stoneman again, beats the right-hander. Pitched up, seaming away past the outside edge. Shai Hope lucky to survive a testing over from Chris Woakes at 62 for 3. He's on 14. His fellow Barbadian Kraigg Brathwaite is on 39.
Yeah, wide of the crease from Woakes. You know, I think the West Indies can be happy with their work this morning. They've only lost, you know, 1 top-order batsman. And Shai Hope, Bishoo, the night watcher, went early. And I think in these conditions, with the ball moving around, with the likes of Woakes bowling the way that he is, and the likes of Anderson, you could quite easily lose 6 or 7 in a session. So we're just going to try and hang in there, you know, get to lunch. 45 minutes to go. You never know, that conditions look like they're going to stay the same for a while, but you never know, the sun might come out this afternoon, might surprise you.
Deep square leg for Kraigg Brathwaite, and that's an interesting feel. You wouldn't often find Kraigg Brathwaite going into the hook shot, so there's a long leg and a deep square leg as Broad in now bowls to Brathwaite, and he's just fending it away off the hip lifting delivery just to the area of the midriff, gets it away one-handed to fine leg for the single. 63 for 3. Brathwaite is 40.
Well, that to me was a tactic that Stuart Broad put the square leg back to basically get a chance to bowl at Hope. You know,
So basically a ball for the single.
Well, it looked to me that, you know, they put a man back, and then straight away ball one into the pocket of the hip, off strike ball to the batsman that's only been out there for 24 deliveries.
Let's see
square leg comes in on the 1. There you go.
Yeah, so he's at forward square leg. Broad in now. Bowls to Shai Hope, who's playing from the crease, guiding it away towards Moeen Ali at backward point. The West Indies capitulation in Edgbaston rekindled that talk about second division, and I know you've been talking about that. It's interesting that point. Is it a view that is about just because of declining standards? Because the question will be, is it that a knee-jerk reaction?
No, not at all. I've been saying it for a while, that Test match cricket, it just needs consequences. You know, every other sports generally have a consequence for failure.
As Broad bowls on leg stump, and it's played away backward of square. Hope gets off strike, gets the single, goes on now to 15. The score moves on to 65 for 3. But the obvious question will be, if it ever would happen, which could happen, if England or Australia drop into the second division, what happens?
That's absolutely fine.
No Ashes series.
No. There'll always be standout series. You know, you can always.
Well, isn't that a compromise? Aren't you fudging it already? If you're talking about promotion and relegation, if Manchester United are relegated into the Championship, do they still get to play Premier League football? Delivery down the leg side, that's coming off the thigh pad. Very, very fine. It's buys, in fact. Touch nothing on the way through to the boundary, so didn't touch anything going away for 4.
No, because, you know, in football, teams know that if they have seasons of failure, they end up in the Championship. In the Premier League, you know that the money's all there. You know, I'm just saying, in Test match cricket, there's just no consequences for failure. You know, the decline of Test match cricket around the world has been one of steady progress for the last 15, 20 years, and I just feel that Test match cricket just needs something to trigger it into action, other than Ashes series, other than England versus India. You know, India at home obviously gets big following, but other than that, no one's interested.
Broad from the football stand end, bowls to Brathwaite, and gets in a bit of a tangle, looking to play into the onside, comes off the pad into the offside, no run, 68 for 3. But the issue is, for me, Mike, I understand the point that you're saying. Aren't you fudging from the reality that the way that cricket has been played over the last decade or so, the more powerful nations are getting more powerful, and they only want to play against each other? And the other nations that are middling or lower down, they hardly play enough Test cricket to allow them to be competitive, which is why I drew the reference to football.
Yeah, well, that's why you need a league, because you would play the same amount of games.
If you've got a league, which we'll hopefully get to, which we may not, he's getting a full-length delivery inside edge, out to the boot, rolls into the offside. I've got to make way for Jonathan Agnew. If you've got a league, everyone plays everyone the same number of times.
Absolutely.
Which is not what happens in Test cricket, where you've got, for example, England playing a lot more Test cricket than everybody else. And therefore, because of that, they're more exposed, they're playing a lot more, their players get a lot more exposure to Test cricket. So when you've got emerging nations like a Bangladesh or Sri Lanka, I heard Michael Holding make the point that when he played Test cricket, he played for 8 more years and never played against Sri Lanka. Huddersfield has just come up into the Premiership. Would you say that Huddersfield, because they've just come up, won't play Manchester United in the Premier League because they're not good enough? But we'll leave that for another time.
No, because if you're in the league, you can obviously play the same amount of
Well, why if
games,
you're in the league as Sri Lanka that you don't play England in a Test series for 12 years or don't play the West Indies for 15 years? As Woakes comes in and bowls, and he's playing that beautifully. Is a Shai Hope off the back foot, guiding it square on the offside, and that's a 4 to start the over. 72 for 3 at the start of the over. Hope goes on to 90. Sorry that I'm stealing some time from Agus, but I just feel that we're conveniently overlooking the imbalance in international cricket, where...
But this would bring a balance to international cricket.
How could it?
Because you all play the same amount of games. Whether you're in the second division or the first division, there's an equal amount of teams. You play the same amount of Test matches over a 2-year period. We'd find out who the winners are. Teams would be relegated. So in bilateral series, as we see now...
But you've just said that if it were to ever be where England and Australia would be in
separate
separate series...
Of course, you need the Ashes. Of course, cricket, Test match cricket...
But you fudged it already.
No, you haven't fudged it at all. Still be inside the Leeds process if you're in the same league.
As... delivery outside the off stump, Woakes lets it go
but
by.
All I said, keep Test cricket going as it is and see what happens in 20 years. Because it's on a steady decline.
Obviously, it is on a decline, but why is it on a decline?
Well, because teams, I guess, you'll probably say that England, Australia and India, the powerhouses, are taking all the money.
I might say, but it's a fact. The fact is that...
But the fact is that West Indies cricket...
don't get me wrong. I'm not blaming the decline of West Indies cricket on England, Australia and India. As he pushes the next delivery, Shai Hope, into the offside, full-length delivery, pushing it away square. West Indies cricket has been in decline long before T20, long before India, Australia and England decided to hijack world cricket to suit themselves, and that they're now trying to change that. So West Indies' demise has nothing to do with this discussion.
But what I'm saying is, if the West Indies board knew that over the last 15, 20 years ago, they knew that they may potentially have been in the second division, do you think they might have changed their first class structure?
Wouldn't have changed a single thing.
Well, how do you know?
Because of the level of incompetence in management in West Indies cricket.
Well, it might have just triggered them into action. It might trigger these other teams into action. That they don't want to be in the second division. Make sure your Test team is looked after.
Woakes in now, bowls outside the off stump to Brathwaite, who lets it go by, getting good away
But the key
swing.
to it, as I've said, is that the ICC need to invest in it.
The ICC needs to treat all Test playing nations as equals, first and foremost, because you can't have what you're calling a league. Because if you're calling it a league, if you're saying that all Test playing nations are Test playing nations, like the Premiership, Huddersfield will play Manchester United even though they've been out of the top division for 46 years.
Because they've earned the right to be in the Premier League.
And therefore, if you're calling a country a Test playing nation, you can't say, well, you're not ready to play Australia as yet, you've got to wait 6 years. as Brathwaite on the back foot forces it away square,
No, but Faz,
will get the single.
If
He
you
goes on now to 41, it's 75 for 3.
If you go into, well, I'm presuming that Australia in the first division, you know, if you get promoted and you've earned the right over a 2-year process to be in that, of course you've earned the right to play against the bigger and better. That's what happens in all of the sports. All of the sports have consequences.
But then by that you're admitting that Test cricket is an imbalance. So even if you're a Test playing nation, you're not really a full-fledged Test playing nation.
Well, get into the first division then. Improve your players, improve your system, improve your structure.
Woakes bowls on the line of off stump and beats the outside edge of Shai Hope. It's a discussion we're going to have to continue.
And also, look, the one thing that I've also stated, that there would be an argument to say, oh no, if you're in the second division, you wouldn't get the chance to play against the Australias, the Englands, South Africa. Say if
that's going to widen the gap.
No. So when you go on tour to England, for instance, the West Indies played against Derby. Derby's your second 11. What kind of practice is that? You could quite easily play against an Afghanistan, an Ireland, or a West Indian on your tour to England to prepare for the Test series. So you would be able to play against these better teams, or these teams in the first division.
We'll have a second.
We could be on for hours, Faz.
Indeed. Agas, take it over before I get too heated on this topic.
I like to see the Faz heated. He was heated bowling his left arm tweakers in the match the other day. I liked it. That's why he was in my team.
Yeah, he cares deeply about West Indies cricket.
I guess so do I.
Its future. Yeah.
I care about Test match cricket more than any other format. And I want this format, this brand of Test match cricket in 20, 30, 40, 50. When we've gone, I still want it to be surviving. I don't just want in 10 years' time England, Australia, and the big three, the big kind of teams to be playing against each other, because at the minute the rest are declining.
Broad on the way then, runs in bowls, and Brathwaite turns that away out to mid-wicket. And through they go for 1 run. So 75 for 3 is the score. West Indies are 183 runs behind. And, well, I think the discussion of West Indies cricket and its demise is something that energises a lot of cricket lovers. It's sad. It's sad that their leading players aren't here and actually playing cricket in the West Indies at the moment. I mean, it's a ridiculous state of affairs, really.
Well, I think a lot of them that could be here, I don't think they want to play Test match cricket.
No. 75 for 3. Broad, arms pumping, comes in up the hill, bowls. Oh, it comes cutting back and almost gets through. Hope they're a bit late on that, and it was that nip backer from Broad that he bowls more often these days. I was listening to Jeffrey talking earlier about positions on the crease and so on. Stuart, I was saying at Edgbaston, I'm not sure if he's got the outswinger anymore, because he's really quite wide of the crease and more open than he used to be. I know he's been putting a lot of work in and bowling well at left-handers, and I wonder if that's just affected his ability to bowl the outswinger to the right.
He's looked a little bit better from the rugby stand end.
Yeah.
He seems to be getting his rhythm.
Well, running up a hill, that's often the case. Runs in hard now and bowls down the leg side. Beautifully taken by Bairstow, diving to his left, low down. I must say thank you to Jackie, who's come here to see us. An amazing cake she's brought, and a very moving card too. She says that baking a cake for Test match special has been on my bucket list since I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2014. My boyfriend tried to deliver a cake covered in cricket balls, but security said that he couldn't come in. And she's made it here today, and it's lovely to see her. And it's a magnificent cake too. So best wishes to everyone, to Aggers and his wife, and thank you for helping me make a bucket dream come true. That's down the leg side, brushed away. Is that off the bat or off the pad? A big hoof at the pitch from Broad suggests it's off the bat, and it is. He really had a big kick at the turf there. Another one drifts down the leg side. So well done, Jackie. Lovely to see you, and well done. Tick off that bucket list. Quite right too. You got a bucket list, Varney?
I've got a few buckets.
I think the West Indies did a few buckets yesterday in the slips.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
But anyway, it's so nice. You know, we take being here, sitting up here, so much for granted. And thank you, Jackie. 79 for 3. Under cloud, Broad's on his way, comes in past the umpire, and that's pushed away off the front foot by Hope, and trickles up to mid-off. And there's no run.
Well, I think the West Indies have done remarkably well this morning. They've only lost one top order player.
Yeah.
And the ball has been zipping around, and Joe Root's had 4 slips, 5 slips. That's an indication of what the ball's doing. And they're just hanging in there. Hope's now 24. He's played nicely. He's
Faced 34 balls. Brathwaite's 42.
Here's Broad bowling wide outside the off stump, and Hope leaves that in a rather flowery way, sort of presenting the bat and then flicking it away. And now he goes gardening. So it's the end of the over. 79 for 3. Broad looks at those foot marks and so on. He's not looked absolutely at his happiest today, or indeed last night, but he is better from that bottom end, and it is. I know it sounds a bit difficult to understand maybe unless you have bowled, but actually running up a hill to bowl, I'm not talking about Mount Everest, but up a bit of an incline is often easier to get your rhythm. You can run in harder than it is when you're just having to hold yourself back a bit when you're running down the hill. You don't have to think, oh, I want to bowl downhill. And actually, if you get your rhythm, obviously that is nice, but if you're searching for the rhythm, you can't quite get it right, and there is a slope, then run up it. Give it a go. You can run harder, you can just shorten your strides a bit, shorten your run up by a yard, shorten the stride.
Ben Stokes is coming into the attack. He should like this because he can get the ball. One thing I'd say about Woakes is he's changed his angle on the crease, but primarily it's all been going away from the eye. It's all been going away from the right hand, and you can play for that. If you just get one to nip back or swing back, it's such a harder ball to face. I think Stokes will be able to just get the ball to go a bit either way.
Let's see how he goes. He's bowling to Brathwaite on 42. A determined innings this from Kraigg Brathwaite. He scored 100 against England, I remember, on our last tour to that part of the world. There's 4 slips crouching there. Brathwaite's right-handed. He's one of those who raises the bat and keeps it up. As Stokes runs in, bowls the first ball on off-stump, and Brathwaite moves into line and plays the ball up to mid-on. He wasn't really looking for there. He was looking for mid-off, really. And I've seen Moeen loosening up at mid-wicket, and that will be interesting to see if he can find some spin here. It was perfect timing that one of England's finest off-spin bowlers in, as I say, recent years, but that's possibly not quite so true. Vic Marks settles in beside me. In goes Stokes, bowls, and that's turned away round the corner. Moeen will chase that and pick it up. Has a look at the ball as he throws it in. And it's 80 for 3. Now, view from the boundary, Victor. I think it might be one of those which there's a lot of long words today. I'm looking forward to it because not only, when all these anniversaries, we've got the shipping forecast, 150 years old, TMS 60. Another iconic BBC programme is 60 years old this year. Off goes Stokes, bowls, that's nudged away out to mid-wicket, and Moeen, again, is the fielder there at Square Leg. Sky at Night.
Sky at Night,
60 years old. And so Professor Chris Lintop, one of the presenters, cricket fan, is going to come and be our guest today. And I'm a bit lost with space.
Well, you can just sit and learn.
It's not a strong point.
Well, that's even better because you're going to learn so much.
Well, I've been reading up about the Big Bang this morning. That seemed quite impressive.
Do you think he might spot?
In goes Stokes, bowls down the leg side, and it's a poor over so far. This, frankly, no run, 80 for 3.
You know, it's like sort of getting ready for an exam. He might spot the flimsiness of your research. But you can pretend.
I'm going hard at it.
Pretend to ask all the questions that obviously you really know the answer to, but the listener out there might like to know.
I'll ask you a question. It's the sort of thing that I've been mugging up on. How many tons of space dust falls onto Earth in the course of a year?
Well, more than you'd think.
In goes Stokes, bowls outside the off stump, and that's a bit of bounce. That was taken by Bairstow up by his head. Any idea?
No, not a clue.
It's landing all around us.
Is it?
Yeah. And a good place to go and find it is up on your roof, given the guttering.
When this old world is getting you down,
go and find some space dust. I'll tell you the answer, shall I?
Well, I should wait for. But go on then.
No, I want to tell you because I've looked it up.
Okay. Go on, tell me.
Don't steal my thunder. 80 for 3. In goes Stokes again. Over the wicket, bowls a big in-swinger, which is tucked into the leg side. And again, Moeen has been kept busy in this over. Picks up and fields, 80 for 3. And I'll tell you, it's 40,000 tons.
No.
40,000 tons. It's coming down all the time.
We just can't see it.
Can't see it.
It's so thin, we can't see it. It's so small.
Little tiny little stuff. 40,000 tons every year.
Well,
other than that, I can't tell you much about space.
But that. So we're going to be talking about space or cricket? You think you don't know yet, do you? Really? See how it goes, I suppose.
Well,
bit of both,
we have had. There's a big scientific link with cricket.
Yes.
Well, there's two. There's Patrick Moore, of course, who was a view for the boundary and a massive cricket fan.
Yes.
Who very kindly once wrote a very angry letter to the selectors and sent me a copy demanding that I should be playing for England.
Oh, really?
I've still got the letter somewhere.
A very, very shrewd judge then.
Indeed. He obviously rather knew more about space than cricket. However, he was a lovely man, Patrick.
Yes.
But let me take you to Old Trafford.
Yes.
And the end where we now commentate from, which of course wasn't an end before.
Yeah.
It was that stand opposite
Oh,
the pavilion.
that's right. I know what you're going to say.
What am I going to say?
Something to do with Bernard Lovell and the early light meters.
Correct. They were like sort of hands on a clock almost, weren't they?
Yes, that's right.
And they were the first ever light meters. Now we have got Moeen on, and he's bowling to Brathwaite. And he's forward, bit of bottom hand in that first ball, and he'll get a single. That goes past Moeen into the leg side. And I mean, they weren't used by the umpires or anything, but they were just to sort of appease the crowd, as it were, and give everyone a bit of a judge as to how the light was doing. And they started sort of to the left, 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
If they went over to 3 o'clock, I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying.
It's like a fuel counter on a car.
It was.
Yes.
But kind of in reverse, because the good was left, wasn't it? And if it got over to the right, you knew that the light wasn't very good. It's a great idea. In fact, we used to refer to them quite a lot. Don't know where they are now or how scientific they were, but that's an example of cricket and science. That's tucked away down to mid-on. 81 for 3. But, you know, I'm really looking forward to expanding my knowledge of the universe. Before the Big Bang was the size of a pinhead. I mean, all these things.
I guess a little knowledge, as they say.
I know. Well, I'm going to hang up my boots on that at that particular point. Here's Moeen, bowls, and that's chopped away down towards third man. They should get 2, will they? Let's see. Woakes is sprinting round, picks up, throws on the run. And Bairstow fields. Nice throw, nice running. 84 for 3. So I think it's one of those views from the boundary in which I encourage
questions from beyond.
Wouldn't call it that. I'll say audience participation. Here's Moeen over the wicket. And that spins very sharply. He's out LBW. We were looking for this.
Well,
that really did turn. He's on the back foot. He's going to review it. But that really did spin. And we saw a couple of instances yesterday.
We have an LBW
where the
review.
ball really did turn.
Can we start with the front foot, please?
Here comes Murray Erasmus then to guide us through it.
You have me, Mark?
I don't reckon he's going to have hit this one. Remember, he reviewed very quickly.
Thank you. That's
I think he's
fair delivery. Spin vision, front on, please.
Let's have a look how much it turned.
It turned a lot. He's reviewing it on the basis, on the hope that it's returned so much that it's going to miss leg stump.
That's really gone.
I don't think it's going to miss leg stump there.
No bat. Can I just confirm with the ultra edge?
He's nowhere near the bat.
Nowhere near.
It's either, well, it could be going down leg side, but what our view so far is very difficult to
You'd think
see.
it's out.
Here we go. It has turned a very long way. There's a puff of dust. It's done all the things that Moeen wants to see. It's pitched a mile outside off stump. Come back at right angles. Now, has it pitched him outside?
Okay.
It's hit him outside the line of the off stump.
I will go back to Ravi.
Yeah.
Ravi.
Impact's outside. It was hitting middle stump.
Outside the line.
But somehow he's managed to hit him outside the line of the off stump.
Oh, as a spinner, you're hating that because
You
it's
are.
hitting the middle of middle. But
it has spun a mile. I mean, whether okay, it's been overturned, but Moeen must be licking his lips here.
Well,
that really went.
Except for he thought he had him out there, but he's getting a long way over to the offside. The ball is hitting the middle of middle, but he's hit on the left pad inside the popping crease. But that left pad is just outside off stump, hence not out. Morally, I'm thinking, poor Moeen, yes, that's out.
Completely defeated.
But fair enough.
But that is really going to unsettle the batsman to come. Here's Moeen. Bowled. Yes, he has done too. He's gone down the pitch.
That's unsettled him.
Hammered this for 6. Well, he had a go, hasn't he? I mean, he's hit it for 6, but that. There you go. Well, and he's reached his 50. But to come dancing down the pitch after seeing a ball spin like that, I think rather says it all. It really went. 168 behind, 90 for 3. Well paid, Brathwaite. His 13th 50, but he's not going to hang around, I think. And there's some rather anxious-looking gardening going on down at the far end as well.
Well, he got out to Moeen, LBW at Edgbaston, having played really well, Brathwaite, to a ball that didn't spin that much. And I think he does loiter a bit too much on that back foot against Moeen.
Yeah.
Moeen is, comes quite quick through the area, can make it skid. And there, I mean, it was a great shot and quite a response, but he wouldn't have done that if he hadn't seen the ball turn.
Absolutely.
But it was a fine shot, 6 from Brathwaite.
What's he going to do now? Moeen bowls to him, he stretches right forward. That's the way he smothers the spin, and Moeen comes into field. Well, we're going to see all sorts of excitement, I think, from that far end. Let's have his figures then, Andrew.
50 off 89 balls, 6 fours in that 1-6. 148 minutes he was batting for, and that was just his 4th 6 in his 39 Test career.
I'll tell you this too, though. I mean, I've got a lot of time for Brathwaite. If he was English, he'd be in the our test team.
Yes.
He's not the prettiest player, but he's gritty.
Yep.
He's had to open the batting for the West Indies often when they're up against the Kosh. The average is already over 35 in Test career, which is not fantastic, but in the context of this team, he's an important element. He's vice captain now. He's only 24, I think. There's something about him in an old-fashioned gritty way.
Hope on strike. Stokes runs in and bowls to him. It's outside the off stump, and he plays no stroke. So anyway, back to you from the boundary.
Well, right.
Any intergalactic questions that you'd like? It'd be great. I mean, but it's a great opportunity. You've got the chance to put a question. I mean, it is the great unanswered subject, isn't it? I mean,
what's out there?
Yes.
What's going off out there?
Why are we here? We can navel gaze for 40 minutes. The sort of thing that you enjoy doing most evenings, Victor. 90 for 3. It goes Stokes, bowls over the wicket. Oh, that goes straight past that off stump. Kept a bit low again, but he is back in his stumps. And it's 90 for 3. So by all means, email in some questions about space matters and everything about that, because it's infinite, isn't it? I mean, the whole question of the whole thing. Once you start to get into the subject, Victor, once you start getting into Wikipedia.
Actually, you're getting so excited. I really hope it's going to rain about 1:30. We need
extend
rain at 1:30 for about 45 minutes.
In goes Stokes, sun shining brightly, and that's pushed away up to mid-off. And there's no run. So tms@bbc.co.uk. Any questions that you'd like to put to Professor Chris Lintott? He's the Sky at Night presenter. They're celebrating 60 years. He loves his cricket, but
of course you might find that you want to talk about the Sky at Night and Chris wants to talk about cricket.
Possible. We'll try and balance these
I'm
things.
sure you're a past master at this. We know.
We'll try and balance it out, but there are some areas to be developed, I think, in this particular topic. Oh, that's a beauty, and it's caught behind, surely. Well, they're peeling behind. Stokes didn't, and he's been given not out, but that's an absolute snorter of a ball, which all behind the wickets they're talking about. Stokes is saying, I didn't hear anything. They're still debating. Up they went behind, and it totally defeated the batsman who's coming up to talk to his mate, and they're not going to review it, but up they went, as that went past outside edge and off stump, incidentally. Bairstow was jumping about. Stokes didn't appeal at all. It was a beautiful ball. And I don't think he's nicked that.
I think, again, it's probably might have just flicked the right thigh. I mean, we've seen some absolute jaffers.
Yeah, he's not nicked that one. It has just brushed the pad.
Yeah.
Wonderful ball. It just held its own, nipped away. Stokes again runs in, bowls, and he's appealing again for leg before wicket. He wants that one. The umpire's giving it not out.
They might review that, I think.
Did he nick this one? Stokes wants it. Root's coming up. Root's saying, like I thought, that he's saying he thinks he might have nicked it. He's asking Moeen from square leg, what did you hear? Moeen says, well, I'm not sure. And Stokes wants it, but the captain's turned his back on him.
I mean, there's an element. England are exasperated a bit out there because they've nearly got Brathwaite given out, but then outside the line, they're beating the bat.
Let's have a look at this. I think he might have nicked this, or certainly Root thought he did.
Yeah,
yes,
he
did. Big nick.
He did nick it.
So good decision from the captain. Stokes wanted it. It just shows sometimes as a bowler, you want it too much.
Yeah, and you see what you want to see.
Yeah, that's a big nick.
Yeah.
Good decision by the umpire, who wasn't put off there by a ferocious appeal. 90 for 3. Eventful over. Still one ball to go. Stokes on his way, bowls to Hope, who's clinging on. That's outside the off stump, and he plays no stroke. So, good competitive cricket. 90 for 3. I'll be back shortly to speak to Chris.
I should go and do a bit more mugging up if I were you.
Thought I might move on to Saturn.
Well,
so anyway, any questions, seriously, wing them our way. ts@bbc.co.uk, and we'll have some fun at lunchtime. Victor, words from you, and then it'll be Simon.
Well, it's gripping cricket. I mean, lunchtime will be great, but the cricket's quite good too, because I think West Indies have done really well this morning. The ball has moved around, the ball has beaten the bat. Woakes hasn't got a wicket, has bowled some jaffers. So has Ben Stokes. Anderson, as ever, excellent. Moeen thought he had Brathwaite. I thought he had Brathwaite. But he was just outside the line.
You must have hated that, Victor.
Oh,
as a
justice
former
was not
off-spinner.
served, but I mean, I
Yeah.
accept the decision, as one must.
Well, if you were playing it,
I felt like
before DRS, you'd have just said, "Oh, I'm having
That's
that
it,
one.
yeah.
I'm having that."
And no
Thank
one
you.
would have quibbled.
No, they wouldn't have done.
However, so there's quite a bit going on, and England have bowled pretty well, and they feel that they somehow should have got more than a night watchman and one batsman out. So for West Indies to be 90 for 3, given how the ball's behaved, I think they've done really well. Brathwaite is a terrific battler.
It's a good Test match.
Yeah.
Here is Brathwaite on strike to Moeen. Brathwaite drives up to mid-off, and there's no run. If you took away the first Test match, if that hadn't happened, you look at this game and say, "Goodness me, we're on for a really exciting 2 or 3
Well, I
days
think
here." We might well be, but I think the point I'm going to come on to here is Moeen bowling, and it's dabbed away towards backward point, and there's no run. Everybody knows what happened at Edgbaston, and there's that feeling, well, could it happen again? If it does happen again, then of course England will
But England
will take a decent position into the second innings.
Ballast of 518. They haven't got it here.
No. That fallibility, though, in West Indies batting lineup, that's what I'm talking about. Moeen bowls, and that's heaved down the ground for plenty more. Umpire just checking, he's gone for 4 this time. 4 to Brathwaite, 6 in the previous over. And Brathwaite goes to 56. And West Indies to 94 for 3.
That's a good shot. Mid-on's up. They have a deep mid-wicket, quite square. But mid-on is up sort of in that metaphorical ring or notional ring. He's just loitering a bit deeper now, but he's not on the boundary. Good strike.
And that reverses the pressure onto the bowler. Moeen goes in and bowls to Brathwaite. He leans forward and plays that defensively back up the pitch. And there's no run. Another thought comes into my mind. Perhaps we shouldn't project ahead too much, but if West Indies could get a 60 or 70 run first innings lead and the ball is turning, Bishoo and Chase. Here's Moeen bowling. Forward goes Brathwaite. That goes away to backward point, and there's no run. And England have shown their fallibility against spin in the past.
Well, the ball is turning, but actually, I mean, the seamers have obviously taken most of the wickets so far, and the seamers could have got half a dozen this morning. It's moved around.
Moeen to Brathwaite. Brathwaite drives towards mid-off. It goes to extra cover, intercepted by the extra cover fielder Anderson, and there's no run. It's the end of the over. 94 for 3. West Indies 164 behind.
And I also think the batsmen of both sides, I mean, Brathwaite may have been triggered by that ball that turned, but in the first innings, Joe Root, he didn't hang around when he saw Chase come on. He thought, it's moving around, it's difficult against the seamers. I'm going to make a bit of hay when the slower bowlers are on. And that's actually probably what got him out against Bishoo. He was trying a little bit too much. So I reckon the modern batsman, if there's a bit of movement with the seam, they see the spinner come on and say, well, we're not going to hang around here. We're going to just try and take advantage. And Brathwaite, who is essentially, quite a dour batsman by modern standards, he's seen that ball turn, which may have pushed him a bit quicker towards showing aggression against the off-spinner, because actually getting runs, it's not going to be a draw this game. Getting runs is a bit easier, it seems, even though the odd ball is turning against the spinner. Because, I mean, we've seen Stokes and Woakes. They've bowled some absolute peaches, but they can't find the outside edge at the moment.
Lovely piece of bowling the last over. Stokes got one to come back in. And in he goes now to bowl to Hope. That's wide of off stump. And Hope has a swat at it, but after the ball had gone past the bat, he let that one go through to Bairstow, very wide. It's been one of those mornings when it hasn't quite worked out for England. They've had the 2 LBW appeals overturned. 2 good referrals from West Indies today. There was one big inside edge that the umpire didn't detect. And that was given out. And that's where the referral system works really well. Hope on 25. 4 slips in. Stokes bowls to him. Oh, thickish inside edge. They nearly got through onto the pads. It goes down to fine leg. And they're through for a fortuitous single. Stokes stands in the middle of the pitch with his hands in the air. He wasn't far away there. There would have been a huge appeal. But the inside edge saved him. Hope to 26 with that single. And West Indies to 95 for 3. These two have added 60 for the 4th wicket. That must be West Indies' biggest stand of the series so far. Here is Stokes. It's time to bowl to Brathwaite. He's on 56, and Brathwaite stands up, pokes this into the offside. They're off for a quick single. Anderson's in, but it's well judged. 96 for 3.
Yeah, 45 was the highest at Edgbaston.
Quietly, West Indies having a very good morning here. Just to finish it off, try and win the session. And England haven't done badly. They picked up a couple of wickets. But if you offered West Indies 103 at lunch, with the night watchman being one of those wickets, they probably would have said, okay, yeah.
England have beaten the bat quite a few times. Pulled some beautiful deliveries, but just can't quite get there.
Man gone out on the hook now, outside the off stump from Stokes. Hope leans forward and lets it go. I mean, just watching the morning's play, you do feel a wicket could go at any moment. They're not giving off a great sense of permanence, these two, but what they have done is they have survived. They have.
Well, they've done, but they've done a bit more than that. They've been very calm. Brathwaite looks calm, and in the last half an hour, they may have played miss, but they've taken every run-scoring opportunity.
Stokes in his third over, goes in and bowls very full. That's clipped into the onside for runs. 2, possibly 3. Moeen's back at deep square leg. He's running around to deep mid-wicket. They'll look for 3 here, and I think they're going to get it as well. Moeen sends in the return to the non-striker's end. And indeed they are back. So 3 more to the total. And West Indies advanced to 99 for 3. Hope
and also,
29.
It's getting to the point where Stokes, Woakes and Broad, they feel they should have got wickets here somehow, and they've beaten the bat, and they're searching. They're searching. So he was just searching for the unplayable ball there, Stokes. He went a bit full, a big leg side, and then he was annoyed with himself for giving away relatively easy runs.
Brathwaite on strike. Stokes bowls to him, turned into the onside. Moeen's up now from deep square to square leg, and so there's no single. End of Stokes is over. 3 overs, 0 for 6 to Ben Stokes. It's 99 for 3.
So,
and West Indies 159 behind.
If those 3 are searching, Jimmy Anderson in his spell was not really searching, because he's just in that groove where he just knows that if he keeps it where he wants it, he's going to pick up wickets. And he's got staggering figures so far of 3 for 10 from 12 overs. But he's not particularly straining. He's fairly phlegmatic when he beats the bat. He just comes up and he does it again. So I can sense exasperation from a fair proportion of the bowling attack, but not Anderson. Now let's see if the Brathwaite have played some big shots against Moeen, so they're trying to get the balance right of field placement. Brathwaite's not on strike now, so the field. Let's have a look. He is going to give himself a long on. There's a short mid on and a wideish long on for Hope, who hasn't faced much of Moeen, I don't think.
Hope on 29. And Moeen goes into bowl to him, outside the off stump, and that's flashed away for 4 through the covers. I think it might well have got him on the full there. Moeen over pitching, certainly. And West Indies 100 is up. And Hope moves to 33. And West Indies 103 for 3. No full toss.
No full toss, and we don't want to miss those. He doesn't. Nice placement. Poor ball.
Ball back with Moeen, who settles himself. Into bowl to Shai Hope, and Hope gets the bat down in time on this one. Straight ball, runs away towards slip, and Stokes goes across to pick up. So he's got the man back on the long on boundary, the wide long on boundary. He wants to take him, or try to take him over the top, but what they've also done is, with the silly mid on, he's right next to the batsman. They're trying to prevent that easy drive to long on for a single. You see often in one-day cricket. Moeen bowls, and Hope goes back and turns that on the bounce towards short leg, where it's stopped by Stoneman underneath the helmet, and there's no run. 7 minutes to go until lunch. It's overcast at Headingley, the lights are on, and for England it's been a frustrating morning. Here goes Moeen into bowl to Hope. That's turned away. Moeen, arms in the air there, not quite sure what he thought when he thought he got through onto the pad, but Hope got the bat down in time, turning that to mid-wicket. Picked up by Westley, and there is no run. Moeen again bowls to Hope, who comes stabbing forward in defence to a ball outside the off stump, runs away off the face of the bat, picked up by Stokes at slip, gives it a rigorous polish on his trousers, claps his hands, lobs it back to Moeen, who's got 1 ball left in the over. Close fielders go down. Slip and a silly point, and silly mid-on. That's driven away, slicing drive off a thickish edge, and it's stopped at backward point by Woakes. And there is no run, and that's the end of Moeen's over. 103 for 3. West Indies 155 runs behind. Brathwaite 57. Shai Hope on 33.
Well, Hope has been impressive, actually. I mean, he's obviously gifted, but still new to Test cricket. But there's a lot to admire in this innings. And Brathwaite in this side is quite a senior citizen. He's almost the senior citizen amongst the batting line. And they're doing a good job for West Indies. I think, realistically, to win this game, I think West Indies probably do need a lead. But they're just about on course at the moment. And as I say, there's a lot to play for the stroke makers down the order, like Blackwood and Holder.
Brathwaite on strike. Stokes begins a new over. Ball's very wide first ball.
Not to mention Chase, who's actually got a very good record in Test cricket.
Yeah, just in terms of experience, Brathwaite is in his 39th Test. Yeah, no one else has played as many as that in this West Indies side.
Kemar Roach is in his 39th as well. That's still the most, yeah.
Inexperienced in the England side as well, of course, with some of the players they brought in this summer, but bags of experience as well. 3 over 100 Test matches. That's edged over second slip for 4. Well, he went for it, Brathwaite. A flashing drive, thickish edge. There's a leap in the air. Well, that was too high, and it's down to the football stand boundary for 4 more runs. A risky shot, and he got away with it again. There was more frustration for England. It wasn't a full half volley, and Root leaping in the air. Well, like a goalkeeper trying to tip the ball over the bar. A shot that was close to him.
Might have gone over the bar anyway.
Might well have done, yeah.
Couldn't reach it. Since that LBW reprieve, Brathwaite suddenly thought, hang on a minute, I'm going to play a few shots after all.
You do get that feeling that the wicket could go at any moment. Brathwaite to 61, so perhaps he's going to chance his arm, get some runs while he's still there. That's outside the off stump, dabbed away nicely, and they're through for a single. Anderson has to run in from mid-off. And Brathwaite to 62, 108 for 3.
Yeah, he's got 16 or 13 balls since that LBW reprieve.
And West Indies' scoring rate was sluggish early on, but it's not too bad now. Only a 38th over. Okay, it's not particularly exciting, but they were really struggling for runs.
Well, they were under 2 and over, I think, at some point.
Well, 19 of 12 overs last night.
Yeah, which was perfectly reasonable. Actually, Bishoo did them a favour last night. Battled away, didn't get any runs, but he did his night watchman duties nobly.
Out for 1 today. Was it 33 balls he faced? And then Hope caught by Root. Very good catch at second slip of Anderson for 3. Stokes bowls. That's forced away and stopped at backward point. A tumbling save. And Stoneman there away to his right-hand side. And very quickly off the bat of Shai Hope. As it did from Kyle Hope as well, with that second slip catch.
Was a good catch.
When you see it, making the point earlier, when you see it in slow motion, you think, oh, well, that's safely pouched. But when you see it at normal speed, you realise how quick Root was away to his left-hand side. It flashed off the bat. Shai Hope faces Stokes, short outside the off stump. He ignores it, and it flies through to Bairstow. England on the attack. Got the 4 slips in, waiting for the edge.
Well, they think, the way the game has gone, you'd think the edge would come, but it's either they've missed it or it's flown over Root's head from Brathwaite in this over. The pitch looks a bit quicker today somehow, doesn't it? Swung a little bit. There's something there, but just the 2 wickets so far this morning.
Stokes to Hope, and he's squared up by that one and gets the bat down just in time. Thick edge down into the slip cord, and it stopped. There's another good delivery from Stokes.
He's got the ball occasionally. That was his in-swinger, and he jabbed down on it well, actually, Hope. Surprised him a bit, but he did well to get bat on it. He's looking dangerous, Stokes. He's not necessarily going to keep the run rate down because he's on the attack. However,
108 for 3. Last over before lunch coming up. Andrew wants to say something.
West Indies were 36 for 3 after the 23rd over, which was Anderson's last over of the day.
Keith Flett will be asking very important questions of Aggies' guest as well. Sorry, I just want to warn everyone that there is a Keith Flett question.
Okay. Here is Moeen bowling. Nudged away, but there's a backward square leg in, so no run. Sorry, Andrew.
Yeah, 36 for 3 after Anderson's last over, the 23rd over of the innings. They've got 72 or 15 since then.
Well, it's been an excellent second hour of the day for West Indies. Moeen into Brathwaite on 62. Brathwaite comes forward and plays it to that man at silly mid-on, and there is no run. Is it Malan in there? I think it is. It's silly mid-on. Cooks it backwards square leg. 108 for 3, 150 behind. Moeen bowls, forward goes Brathwaite, dead batting it back up the pitch. Are we allowed to know what the Keith Fleck question is, or are we waiting for it?
I can't remember, but I'll give you one little clue. There is a reference to beards in it.
Oh, that's a surprise. No, England reinforcing their close catching circle. Silly point coming in, so there's a silly point, a short leg and a slip and a silly mid-on. As we move towards the lunch interval, 3 balls to go. Here is Moeen bowling to Brathwaite. Brathwaite is back, playing quietly and competently, securely towards short leg, where it's picked up by Stoneman. No run. Quickly back with Moeen, who starts almost to attention at the far end. Then he goes into bowl. And that's driven past the silly mid-on field with a bit of bottom hand there, flicking that up towards, on the drive, up towards wide long on. Broad sends in the return. And they are through for a run. Brathwaite to 63. Last ball before lunch, 109 for 3. I think this time last week, West Indies lost a wicket from the last ball before lunch from memory. Things have changed around quite significantly in the last week. 109 for 3. Hope hoping to survive. Another change in the field. They're taking out the extra cover and moving him to backward point. Still with the 3 close catches, and the silly mid-on has gone to a short mid-wicket now. Moeen into bowl to Hope, who's back and edging that, but just short of Stokes at slip, who poached it so quickly. But it did not carry, and a semi-reprieve there for Hope just before the break. 109 for 3, and West Indies morning. Let's have a look at this one. Well, edged down, it was on the half volley. Again, just an example of something not quite going for England this morning. They found edges, they found the pad, they found the inside edge onto the pad, they've had the umpire's finger up, but 2 have been overturned. And West Indies battling hard and very much in this game at lunch. 90 for 2 in the first session from 27 overs. It's developing into a fascinating game, this one. 149 runs behind.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good session for the West Indies. 90 for 2 in that session, including a night watchman. England probably sensed that they should have got more, felt they should have got more. There was enough movement. The ball beat the bat enough times, not quite finding the edge. One brilliant catch from Joe Root to get rid of Kyle Hope. But Brathwaite has been terrific, battling away, survived that LBW. We all thought it was out, but his review was justified because he was just outside the line. It was hitting the stumps from Moeen Ali. So he's been terrific, and it's what we've come to expect from Brathwaite. Gritty at the top of the order, and very impressive too from Shai Hope. Quite a stylish player, difficult circumstances. It's not quite like this in the Caribbean, but he's battled away, and I hazard a guess that this is one of his best test innings so far, but he needs to add to it.
Out this morning, Bishoo for 1, Kyle Hope for 3, 3 wickets overall for Anderson, who's on 495 test match wickets now. Just one more thought from you, Victor, and I'll hand over to Jonathan. Where is this game? Is it 50-50? Where's the balance of power?
Well, I think it is close to 50-50 now. I think the West Indies need a lead if they reckon they're going to win this game, but they're right in the game. Anderson, actually, there's been a bit of a gulf between England's bowlers. We see it with the batting often enough, but Anderson has been absolutely outstanding, and the others are just straining. But we've got a really good game on our hands. I'm looking forward to the afternoon, but even more, I'm looking forward to the next half hour. And You'll be on your toes. I know
I'm
that.
reading about Jupiter. It's all happening, Victor. It's all happening. No, it's good, tremendous. Thank you very much indeed, Vic. And the sun's out, which is great. And Nick Cook supervising sort of sweeping up operations out there, making sure that everything will be fine and dandy for the restart, which is about 40 minutes or so from here. So 109 for 3, and that session therefore worth 90 runs and the 2 wickets.